And even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's an infinite possibility.
Always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we can roll up.
We're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break.
Oh, whoa. Wrong one.
Hey. Oh, God.
Switch settings for some reason.
I know, right? Anywho's, Ayo, and hello, everyone, and welcome to Roll for Hero, a segment of the channel in which we let the dice dictate what on God's green earth we will be drawing for today. But today isn't just a Roll for Hero, whacked out, wondrous, beautiful Wednesday. No, today is actually the amazing kickstarting campaign of sorts. I know nothing of how Kickstarter works. Mr. Fish actually doesn't. Speaking of Mr. Fish, y'all listen, it's me, your weird Uncle Lee, and with me today is, of course, my big bearded, bald-headed, beautiful co-star, the big fish in the small pond of indie comics, Mr. Fish.
What is up, everybody? It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish. Glad to see everybody in the comments. What up, Mr. Nope?
Hey, howdy, hey, how we doing today, everybody?
Animations, Dragon Gaming in the house, Commander Comics. I might have to rethink that because the font that uses makes it a lot harder to read their names. The comments are easy enough, but the names get a little bit blurry, that small. But anyway, I am super glad to be here. I'm super excited because today is the day that we are going to be launching of the Kickstarters for GREENZONE, Life in the Blocks, the trade paperback, covering the first shift on the force, the first day at work for this group of superpowered genomes in a world where 5 years on the force is all there is between you and citizenship. These guys are risking their lives against the roving gangs of mutants, a bunch of world full of humans that hate them, a corrupt law enforcement system to try and claw their way out of the ghettos and make a better life for themselves. And we are going to be launching it in just a minute. You can go to gomrfish.com. That will take you directly there to the Crank Stomper page. For those of you who don't know how Kickstarter works, and there's always some people that don't know, when you back a Kickstarter, you are helping a creator like me get something made. So everybody is chipping in and helping get the print run done for this book so I can send it off, get a big offset print run of the trade paperback. And as a thank you for that, you're going to get a different tier of reward. Now, when you back it now, you're saying, okay, I like this tier, and maybe you want to put an add-on or something. And all the prices are there. On my Kickstarters, the shipping is included for domestic shipping. So the price on the tier is what it's going to cost if you're in the continental U.S. You back it, but it doesn't take the money out right now. That's one thing that a lot of people don't know. It's going to come out the end of the campaign, which is going to be on the 5-star feed show, which comes on after this, on my YouTube and Facebook and on the 5-star feed channel on March 11th. So it's, I think, 4 weeks, but anyway, it's going to be another Wednesday in 4 weeks that's going to come out on the 11th of March. So it will charge you then. So that's something to keep in mind.
So be sure to go support Mr. Fish and go to that Kickstarter. Make sure to, fund whatever you can. If it's $1, if it's $5, if it's 15, 20, and so on and so forth, go get yourself an amazing kickstarting type of fun gifts and other little trinkets here and there. Mr. Fish, again, he knows more about this kind of stuff. I'm still new to all of this indie stuff. But again, I've actually had the luxury of apprehending and owning a few issues of GREENZONE, Life in the Blocks, and very good story. Very much you get to learn a little bit about each of the characters and what they all want, what they all desire, and in order to obtain said citizenship. So I am super excited to see this whole trade. And not only that, Mr. Fish, didn't you say that there are some fun little extras things and whatnot within this trade?
Oh yeah. In this trade, we have got I'm adding in like 6 pages at least that I had to cut out originally just to hit the page count so that it would fit in the normal floppy format. And and it didn't make sense to have like, one book be 34 pages and the next one's, 26, whatnot. So I had to cut some pages out to make everything work, and now I get to add that stuff back in, and I'm re-editing it into a director's cut so it works chronologically across the whole first shift, and we get to add in the stuff I missed, and then I'm adding in like 30 pages of short stories and stuff that come from other places around the world and follow other characters and help flesh out the world of Green Zone. And I'm adding in character bios for all the characters and stuff that you see in Green Zone, and the heroes and the villains and the good guys and the bad guys and the in between guys. And for like 4 people that might be interested in it, there is a be drawn in the book tier. And for that, you'll be drawn into several of the pages. Might be some of the new pages. I may go back and draw you into some of the existing pages too. And then you will get a character bio in those character files at the end too of your character that you got in there. So that's a really cool way. We've already had several people be drawn into the book up until now. Some of them chose to actually have themselves be drawn in there. My buddy J Man is one of the humans holding a phone, filming as Bellamy and Waters get arrested by human cops. Other people chose to have like their some of their OC characters be put in the background, so they're in there as genomes. One dude chose to be in there as a genome, so the ice guy that you see in the background between like the first 3 issues, that's my buddy Andrew that got that opportunity.
Okay, okay.
He sent me a picture from high school as his reference, and he's all posed back being a cool dude in his picture. And I was like, okay, cool dude, I got you. Bet. And so he's got like icicles poking through the shoulders of his stuff, and very, very awesome Iceman looking.
So,
But
guys, if you want to be a part of a comic book, go to the Kickstarter and get yourself in that tier.
oh,
Yeah, Mr.
dude,
Fish
Alan
is drawing in my
Cohen
comics for
had it
free.
last week. 11x6 workspace, so I have a ton of space to work with now. Plus, I got a pen. That is freaking awesome, dude.
That is
What is
amazing.
up, Deadpool? Glad
How
to
you
see you,
doing?
man.
Commander
Alright.
Comics, that is pretty funny and awesome. And honestly, that is something that I would like to eventually get to. When
I'm
I
going to
get
go ahead and hit ready to launch on this. And I've read the terms, and I'm going to launch project on my other window, not on this window. And
Launching
see if we
Kickstarter
can
in
get
3,
this going.
2.
Congratulations, the project is live.
And now we're lifting off, and it's now up to you out there to support Mr. Fish in his endeavors to creating the trade paperback of The Green Zone, Life in the Blocks.
Let's see, we can look through some of it. We've got little intros on the characters. It tells us a little bit about who Virgil and Brooks and everybody are. What is up, Ben? Bellamy is one of the more interesting characters to me. I'm going to switch this real quick so that we can get that a little bit bigger. Bellamy is one of my favorite characters because she's what's known as a late bloomer in Green Zone. And just a couple of years ago, Bellamy was perfectly human. And then all of a sudden, her body hair started turning into razor sharp quills. And now she could go to prison if she bumped into you on the subway. And so all of a sudden, she went from a very privileged life and being in college and about to take over the family business to all of a sudden, she lost her citizenship. She's kicked out of college. She's kicked out of her family, and they've cast her out completely. And now she's gone from somebody who was afraid of genomes to now she is a scary genome. And she's having to learn how to cope with this new world, having to cope with her new reality of suddenly being dangerous to everybody that she gets close to, literally. And it's been a lot. You can tell she's really, really having trouble in this new skin. And then you got people like Danny Kim who've had life handed to them on a silver platter, and everything's been gravy for him. His dad is his boss. His dad's a career police officer. He knows he can't get fired no matter how stupid he is. So he piddles around and can do anything and get away with it, and doesn't realize how different his life is from everybody else's. What are your thoughts on Adobe Animate shutting down in March? I don't mess with Adobe. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, same here. I only mess with Procreate, and I definitely feel like depending on my course of life and how things are going to go for me, I know it's going to be a little difficult for others. So, yeah, but man, this is some good stuff, guys. Obviously, the Kickstarter just launched up. Go get yourself, into those awesome tiers. Support yourself. So the indie creators. You got to support your indie creators, and here's why. Number one, genuine passion.
Got our first backer.
Oh, we got our first backer. Let's go.
Yeah, we do. $20.
Now we got our first backer. Who's our first fronter?
Somebody got the digital copy already. Let's see if I can find it. Lori Calcaterra, little Lori Calcaterra from Texas, came in for the digital edition. Thank you, Lori. You rock out loud.
Let's go. But yeah, here's why I believe every one of y'all need to go support Mr. Fish. Not just Mr. Fish, but other indie creators out there. Number one, genuine passion and also a relative consistent story. Because again, I don't know how others write theirs, but at least when you're getting a comic book, or at least when you're supporting an independent comic book creator, you're getting exactly what they're giving you out there, right? It's not like Marvel, it's not like DC, it's not like Lauren, look at that. You number one. Look at that.
We already knew Lori was number one, but she's also the first backer. Go figure.
Anywho's, but when you support your indie creators, you guys are getting the most genuine, authentic, passionate storytelling ever. And especially in Mr. Fish's case, he is not just only the fastest pen in indie comics. He's not just the big fish in the small pond of indie comics. He is also a genuinely passionate storyteller. And again, that is very true, especially since I've seen a few of your videos already talking about each of the characters from GREENZONE. The genuine, authentic passion you have for each of the characters, their struggles, and the desire to just have a citizenship and just live a normal life. Like, again, that's really awesome. And the fact that he puts his heart and soul into every book. And again, the funniest thing I've heard Mr. Fish say is his job is that he gets to draw big, muscular men in their underwear beating the crap out of each other. And that is something that I aspire to really get into, or it's something that I aspire to say one day with such confidence.
Oh, cool.
But yeah. Oh, man. This is awesome.
I already have an idea. If I roll a genome for Roll for Hero, I might have a part of Berlin called Brookside, as I lived in it since 5th grade. That'd be cool, man. That's an awesome sounding name. I feel bad for the Purple Goat Man. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man. And just as a little secret side note, just for the fans of Roll for Hero that are here today for the launch, that's something that when I wrote him in to the script originally he was just a dude with antlers, just for them to cut him off in the story. That's literally the only reason I put him in the story, was to show how violent the human cops could be. But the more I thought about it, I was like, he can't just be there for that, because if I'm introducing and making him that big a part of the opening of the book, there needs to be more to his character than that. So he became a bigger part of it. And it honestly wasn't until I was halfway through the second book that somebody mentioned to me that I don't think those are antlers. I think those are horns. And I was like, what's the difference? And they were like, dude, horns don't grow back. And I was shocked, because I honestly thought, up until that point in my life, I thought horns and antlers were basically interchangeable. I thought it was just what they looked like. I did not realize that if you cut horns off of say a goat or a ram or something, they don't grow back. I've seen the empty horns, when people use them to make knife handles or whatever, or drinking cups or whatever. I thought they shed them like deer shed antlers.
And
so it didn't strike me when I originally did this, that they mutilated him for life. And when I found that out, I freaking wept. I mean, I ugly sobbed when I realized what I, as the writer, had done to this dude. And they did it so callously, and I didn't even think about it that deeply, which is one of the reasons that I get so passionate when I talk about that. Is ultimately, like, I feel partly responsible for what happened to him, because I mean, I'm the writer, I did it. Like, Virgil's life sucks so bad because I keep doing this to him. I literally made my editor cry because I keep being so mean to Virgil. And
Your poor editor.
but I mean, that's the thing, is sometimes you can't win for losing. Sometimes you do everything right and you still have a bad outcome, or people still look at you as the bad guy. And that's what this is about. It's about how complicated life is.
Indeed. And I will also say too, didn't you also utilize like a superhero RPG book to actually create some of the characters for Green Zone and or for like other projects?
Oh yeah, before I made up my own Wheel of Powers and stuff for my School of Fish art stream, and before we did the Roll for Hero stuff, like back years ago when I first started Green Zone, I would get out my old um God, what's the name of it? Heroes Unlimited books. That's what I was trying to think of. I would get out my Heroes Unlimited books and just roll for a random set of powers, and that would be what I would draw for my warm up that day. And I would design new characters that way, which is how I got characters like I don't think he's in these preview pages, but it's how I got characters like Johnny the Vault, this big fat guy who can absorb anything, and it becomes a magic tattoo on his skin, because I got matter absorption and magic tattoos and all this stuff. So I combined it all into one thing, like I like to do. And so this dude gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time he absorbs stuff, and it becomes a magic tattoo. And then when he like hits that tattoo, that thing comes back out again, and works really great for inorganic things. Doesn't work that great for like living things. But living things tend to get digested. But yeah. Oh,
J-Man said, I pledged. I think I'm number 3.
Let me refresh. Oh, goodness. We got Lord Godster in first place. We got Michael Waypo. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Michael, and I apologize for that because you back all my campaigns. As number 2, J-Man is number 3. Peggy Carpenter coming in 4th. And Schwartz Art, I'm guessing that's Fred Schwartz, who I'm working on a Cthulhu story with right now, coming in 5th. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And then Benjamin says, I like the lizard character with the bloody eyes, a.k.a. Virgil.
Oh, yeah, man. Virgil is, oh, I love him. And I swear I didn't pick Horny Toads just because I loved playing with them as kids, because I lived in Oklahoma, but I did absolutely love playing with them. But I swear I had a dream one day, and I was watching like the Netflix adaptation of Green Zone, and I was seeing this scene, and Bellamy was talking to one of my superhero characters, Capital Punishment, who is also in the trade now because some of the side stories are his. He's this mean old vigilante, but y'all will see in the trade. But she was talking to him, and then this giant horny toad dude comes out who's like 8 feet tall and walks past grunting something at her, and she's doing all the explaining because he doesn't apparently talk much. And that's what I woke up with. And then I had to figure everything else out from there. But it's just a happy coincidence that I really happen to like horny toads.
So what also Mr. Fish is saying is that if you keep supporting and backing his stuff, there might be a Netflix adaptation, is what I'm hearing. So
it looked pretty good in my dream. Who knows? Maybe it was a prophetic dream.
From a dream to reality, man gets himself a friggin' Netflix series before GTA 6.
But we've got T-shirts. We've got a metal cover this time. We've got a choice of 2 t-shirts. So when you back any of the tiers with the t-shirts, you're going to get a choice between like the Virgil logo cover or the one with all 4 of their heads on it. When the surveys come out, there's a retail bundle where you'll get 5 signed copies for your shop and 2 posters to put up talking about it. There's the metal cover version that you can get. There's the deluxe print edition that comes with the 33 millimeter actual resin printed miniatures of Virgil and Brooks and Bellamy and Danny, and they'll come with a custom sketch card of whoever you want. Imagine if Green Zone is fused with My Hero Academia. Oh, that would be fun.
That actually would be interesting. I was also going to say, who did you get to do? Did you go to Hero Forge and then kind of modify it yourself, or did you?
No, I've got a buddy, Carl Stossel, I think is how you pronounce his last name. That's one of the problems with having all your friends on the internet is you don't have to say their names out loud until you're on a podcast. But he's the guy that designed all the vehicles and stuff for me. Well, I designed them. He made 3D models of all the vehicles so that I could draw them in the book quickly and easily. So like all of these vehicles I have as 3D models to make my life easier for the comic, but as stretch goals, they're going to be released. So if we can get to $5,000 on the stretch goals, then the big honking police cruiser is going to get released, and all the people that back that tier with the 3D minis or above will get the actual 3D printed car sent to you. And if we make it to 7, then you'll get the bus that they drive in on in the first issue and get
Now,
delivered.
the question is, how big are these things if they were to be sent? Are they like,
well, they're going to be relatively in scale with 33 millimeter. Like, I mean, most of these are going to be bigger than Hot Wheels,
okay,
by a margin.
So I was going to say, so like a really good form of frame here. So this is like a tabletop character I 3D or that the fiance 3D printed. So I have my little Red Ranger guy here. So this here is like an average tabletop miniature. Think about 30.
Yeah. So they're going to be roughly in scale with that. Like, I mean, honestly, like this big honking assault vehicle looking fire truck, that thing will be a foot long, probably, at full scale. And I mean, so it's not going to be that big. It's going to be big enough to take up room on a table if you want to play with them. And also the truckster with Virgil in the back is going to be released if we can make it to 9, which would be really awesome.
That is actually cool, because I was going to say too, I mean, that would be one heck of a thing especially for those who play tabletop RPGs. Y'all got to probably get yourself some of that then for your cyberpunk settings.
Oh,
for
man.
Your futuristic kind of stuff. I mean, I would personally go for that.
From a certain tier on up, they all get digital versions of these when they're released. So if you have a 3D printer like my boy Esteban over here, then you could print them up yourself from like the digital deluxe tier on up, which, let me check, is $35. And it comes with the STL files for the main minis and then all the other stuff that gets released after that. So Esteban could print it himself. If you have a makerspace or you have a 3D printer at your library, you could take the files there and print them up yourself. I'm getting them done in resin 3D printed because the resolution just comes out really nice.
Oh, they're really very, smooth, very clean. Yeah. But that's also if you know how to do it. Because again, for us, we have filament printing. So, I mean, you could probably see it's not the cleanest, at least for this one. Because, I mean, also for some reason, the red filament when doing this was a bit off. But if you know how to do it right, it's going to be awesome. Is Uncle Lee backing? Once I am financially stable enough to do so, I put myself in a good chunk of some credit card debt.
Yeah, somebody just moved and is getting married and everything. So I'm going to totally understand. Like I had Lori, who was the first backer, I had to apologize to her because I had forgotten I hadn't backed Path of the Pale Rider, which is also live on Kickstarter right now. Jorge Medina back too. Thank you. But I had realized I hadn't backed her book, which is live right now, and I apologized. I had to back at the digital level, but things be tight right now, and I understand.
Oh yeah, especially once you're putting money into a wedding, putting money into rent, putting money into bills and living expenses, and outings here and there. It does add up, but obviously that's life, unfortunately, at the moment.
All right. Now, we've been piddling around too much about the Kickstarter. Let's get on to Roll for Hero before we run out of time. This time, we're going to be rolling up characters for Green Zone. Just as an offshoot, we're doing a whole separate thing instead of continuing with the Season 2 episode, just because we're launching the Kickstarter and we want to have some fun and do something.
Yeah, also, it is nice to take a break out of the genre once in a while and really just start diving into something else. Because, look, I love drawing all these fun sci-fi characters and stuff, but at the same time, you gotta, try and get into something else a little bit here and there, So, and hopefully, there's some other ideas that we're going to be pursuing later on. Hopefully, with the ideas of, some other things here and there. So I think I've been yapping too much. So. Here we go. We got the tables for this. So for anyone joining along, make sure to grab some dice, grab yourself your drawing utensil, a surface to draw on, or method of creation, and let us begin the process. And let's roll for a hero.
All right, we've got our character types. Now in this world, if you're a genome, if you're a mutant with any type of ability, you lose your citizenship. So the number 2 genome, that's just a standard genome trying to survive in the blocks, who hasn't joined up with a gang or anything else. They're on their own. Number 3 is a gangster. You have joined up with one of the gangs that rule the blocks. Like Virgil's block is ruled by the lower 8s because they're in the lower 8th district. So they named themselves after that. Oh, Benjamin got a pro hero. That's somebody whose mutation was good enough and their looks were sharp enough that they could go pro, like out of high school. That's like going to the NFL.
I mean, that's like the equivalent of saying you're like a Cyclops or a Wolverine. You're a mutant, but you look way too human to look, freaky or weird or something like that. Or maybe not. I don't know.
But yeah, that's a pro hero. That's good. And usually most of the pro heroes work for Alpha, but not all of them. Some of them work for other companies. Lots of places are doing reality shows and stuff where they bring in heroes and they go save the day and whatnot. Alpha is an overarching organization that works worldwide, that basically hires up heroes and you work for them and they send you out on different missions as things come up. So, you could be getting sent to Borneo one day and be fighting somebody in the streets of New York the next day. But, they send you where the needs are.
And then also, real quick as well, just so that we have more context into this, also, Fred Schwartz says, backed and shared. Fish, good luck, buddy. I'll keep the promo through the campaign. Let's get it. But I was actually going to mention the world of Green Zone is like a standard superhero world. So there's magic, there's science, there's, like kaijus and heroes, monsters, all that kind of stuff.
Darn it, you're absolutely right, Ben. You're absolutely right. I missed one. So I don't know what I'm going to put there.
Oh, shoot. We'll say for now, unless, you want to fix it now, we could say that's just...
If you get 11, you can make 11 whatever you want it to be. That's what we'll do. If you roll
got 11, a pro hero.
So let's roll and see what we get while everybody else is rolling. We're going
to do 2 separate ones. I'm going to roll for mine. Fish is going to roll for his. So he gets to add whatever he wants, and then he gets the option of putting mine in there. Ooh. Oh, no. I'm an army recruit.
Can we take a look at the fan art later? We will try. I'm going to see. I've been really busy getting the Kickstarter ready, so I haven't had a chance to go look. So I don't know. We may have to look at the fan art next time because I don't know how we're going to do that and get anything drawn today.
Yeah, we got a lot on our plate.
I'm sorry. I've been so busy getting
time
this
that we
thing
have
together.
now.
All right, now we're rolling for our mutation. Now this is going to tell us how many powers and whatnot we're going to get. And oh no.
Oh wait, this is okay. Oh, what do I got? I got 3. 1 major. Oof.
I got no powers. I'm a gangster with no powers. That's going to really stink in the blocks.
I mean, hold on a second. Wait. You're a gangster in the blocks. and he had no power. So at that point, it's just
Well, that
strictly
just means that I don't have any like overt superpower. Like I can't like throw fireballs or shoot lasers out of my elbows or anything. Like I mean, I can still be a mutant. I can still look weird, and which a lot of people, a lot of genomes don't have any like superpower. They just like might have like Corporal Waters, who trains Bellamy. She just has spots and pointed ears. Like other than having speckled skin, she doesn't have a mutation.
It's also kind of like being an alien with no special powers or ability. You're just kind of just some guy,
Yeah.
but you just look differently, So that could also be a situation too.
Yeah.
But then again, that can also lead to some really unique storytelling because, like, this is a gangster. Is he a low tier? Is he a high tier? Is this kind of gangster the kind to really like through spit, grit, and duct tape, trying to really make his way to the top of the gangster ranks, or is he trying to lay low and just not bother anyone else, kind of a thing, and stick to his own kind of people? Like.
All right, now we roll for our looks. Do we look human? Do we have crazy colored skin?
Oh no, not another animal trait.
Okay, now here I rolled a 6, so I have an elemental looking character. So I'm going to roll for my element on another
Actually,
table.
real quick before you do, was there a powers table? Because I rolled one major power.
Yeah, there is. It's coming up.
Okay, just double checking. All right, you have an elemental, so you roll up yours real quick, and then we'll go from there.
See, I like Mr. Nope's idea. Maybe he's an expert at bluffing and just threatens to use his powers. See?
Oh.
I like. Now here, if you got one of the animals or something, here's a random animal table.
All right, that is me, and I believe I had, what was it, animal trait. Was there a specific amount, or? Oh wait, hold on. I take it back. There's 3d8. Because I'm totally prepared for this.
Usually it's just one. Like I mean, like.
But do I like myself? Absolutely not. So we're gonna go with 3. I love you, honey.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come on, get it. Don't you love when dice love to not work with you that one day? The one day where it counts. All right, let's go.
Doggone Comics got elemental 4 rolls in a row. That's crazy.
My lord, all the elemental powers. I swear, at that point, we just got to stop with the elemental. Like season 3, roll for hero, no elemental powers. We're done. 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait, is that 9, 10, 11, 13, and that is. Can I re-roll? I don't want to do it.
Go ahead. Again. Yeah, absolutely. You can re-roll.
I'm done with.
I should have taken like shark and wasp off of here.
All right, numero 9. Even worse, my phobia, but we're gonna go with it. Better than a wasp.
You're not the only one that got spider traits. Benjamin got spider traits too.
Twins. Anyways.
Okay, now here's the elemental table that I got to roll on. Come on, something good. Fire. Okay, for a guy with no powers, I've got fire form.
Oh man, I'm about to make a demented Spider-Man out of this one.
So I'm going to take no powers as meaning I have no other power than the fact that I catch on fire.
It's like you're the Human Torch, but worse.
Yeah. Oh, rolled blue skin. That's one of my absolute favorites. That is literally one of my absolute favorites. Actually, fun fact, if you really take a close look in the backgrounds at Brooks' family, you will see why he's purple. If you really look in the books, it's clear.
I got to reread.
If you pay attention to your genetics.
All
right. Minor power table. We've got pyrokinesis, telekinesis, were animal, strength, body weapons, which are your claws and your antlers and your teeth and your, stingers and things like that.
Or wings if you know how to weaponize them.
Yeah. Body armor, tentacles, jumping, extra limbs, advanced senses, night vision, energy blast, causing fear in other people, gills, wall crawling, speed.
Oh my lord.
Oh, 2 roll for hero episodes in a row, not 4. Okay, I got what you're saying, doggone. But still, 2 elemental characters in a row is.
I mean, at that point, I want to work on the Primal Empire just to get all of the elemental powers out of our system.
Now, Benjamin's saying he's glad to not have a fire elemental with ice powers. I think that would be epic. I
That's
love
like
that. Equinox.
you know who's the equivalent of that? Big Chill from Ultimate Alien, where he had like the fire ultimate look. So he was still like an alien that had the ability to stay cool, but also had like a fiery kind of vibe to him. Who knows? You can create a character, call him Hot Ice.
Icy hot.
Even better. All right. Now we're talking major powers. This is where I'm at. So I already have a character that looks like a spider or has spider-like traits. And now my major power is number 5, to mutate others.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be good.
Oh my God, no wonder why the army wants me. I'm gonna create a whole region of genomes and force them into being in the blocks.
Little T.S. Luther from Michigan's asking,
So,
what's the
TS, how you
Kickstarter
doing,
at
bud?
right now? Let's take a look. Let little T.S. know. Let's see, where are we? We're at $243. Let's see. Let's give it a refresh and see if it's gone up any. We're at $403.
$403, that's
definitely better
crazy.
than where it was a second.
Sorry, I'm
ago.
acting like so fake right now, but that is genuinely awesome. That is a really what's the intended goal here? Like, is there a specific amount that we're trying to reach, or
Yeah, the goal is 4,000, which is another thing. If you don't know about Kickstarters, we have to reach goal for anybody to get charged. If we go past goal, then at the end of the campaign, then your debit card, bank account, credit card, whatever you put it on, will get charged at the end of the campaign for what you pledged. If we don't hit the goal, then nobody gets charged. I don't get any money, and then I retool the campaign, and I'll have to try and relaunch it again later.
all right, guys, listen, the minimum amount is 4,000. Let's make the minimum 6,000. All right, guys, we got to make that the minimum. All right, 4,000 is what Mr. Fish needs. Let's make 6,000 the minimum. All right, so that way we can get the cool, 3D printed cars, all the cool miniatures, so that you have something for your tabletop games, because we all deserve it. Or you guys deserve it if you decide to back it up, which you should, because I said so. Your Uncle Lee approves. Anywho's back to our crazy synopsis of a crazy character here. So for those who are just now popping on in, like TS over here, I basically rolled up a character who lives in the green. So we're all making characters for the Green Zone universe. So I created a character who is an army recruit, who essentially has, was it an army recruit? Yeah, it was an army recruit who essentially has one major power, and that major power is to mutate others. What makes it worse, that my character has animal traits, specifically, and even worse, spider traits.
See, to me, that just plays in really well with the mutate others. That's like, you got the bite is just built in, dude. It's right there.
Oh, 100%. Like, you snag them. Like, he has his own web. Yeah. He puts them in a little web cocoon. Next thing you know, they burst out like genomes.
Mm-hmm.
Creating super soldiers of all kinds. Oh, man, he'd be the worst.
All right. Now, I guess that was the end of it, huh?
Really?
I guess. Well, yeah, I didn't do a quirks because this is Green Zone, and Green Zone's already pretty tough.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, I believe we got it all already. We got the looks and the random animal table.
TS is right. Do it. Back this book. All right.
Character type.
If TS was here, I think he would say, I'm TS and I write comics and I approve this message.
Yep.
Tell me if I'm wrong there, TS. Just double confirming here.
Yep. That was it for that. Okay.
Alrighty then.
My character is simple because I have no other powers than the fact that I can apparently catch myself on fire.
And for me, it's the fact that I have to try to create an entire spider. So in a weird way, I created an army adjacent Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
I think he would probably end up in my first thought would be he would probably end up in special forces or recruited by the CIA or something. Sounds like somebody they would want for that.
I mean, true. And I feel like he would be on his last year. Maybe for him, he's on his final year. Maybe he got to expedite the process. I don't know how that works in the Green Zone. I don't know how that works in your universe. But I can imagine if you're a good enough of a soldier or a good enough of a individual with powers or abilities or anything like that, especially if you're in the forces, I feel like in this case that could lead him up to actually gaining his citizenship, and maybe he probably cut a year off, and maybe he's in his 4th year, which would be his final year, trying to be, a whole, trying to get himself into being a citizen to just live a normal life. But it stinks.
He was about to get out, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna dock him a few years because he's too good to have on hand. We can't let him go yet. We need a stop loss on that dude.
Oh, even worse, that they would actually keep recruiting him regardless. Like they'll always extend it. So maybe he's too good that they're going to extend his, citizenship rights.
And then there's people that just straight up like end up going career and doing it their whole lives, like Sergeant Kim, who's their boss in the Green Zone. He went in for his citizenship, but he stayed. And, he's a genome that really, truly believes if he works hard enough and works, 10 times as hard as the human officers, eventually they will respect him and he'll break that genetic ceiling and get that promotion and whatnot. And he really doesn't understand that they're never going to give him that. They don't see him as the same, no matter how long they work together or anything like that. Let's see. T.S. Luther says, I would never say anything like that. T.S. Luther says, hi, I'm T.S., and I would never say anything like that while I write comics. Sarah says, Lori, dang it. I'm guessing she beat her. Oh, doggone comics got gas form. See, I was hoping for that one. I was hoping for that one and Poison at the same time. I thought that would have been good. Ooh, a blue guy with electricity powers. Dude, you're going to be in the book already. There is a blue guy with electricity powers in the book now, in a short story that my son did. He's robbing a bank. I love it. It came out so good. And his art came out so top notch on it, man. That is going to be awesome, dude. I can't wait to see how close your design comes up to what my son came up with. Let's see. Alan says, my character from my own indie show is an immortal guy that cannot die and reigns, but he cannot fight for crap. So Deadpool without the cancer or fighting ability. That's kind of funny right there. I mean, the thought of a dude that can't die, but also like isn't good at any, like isn't particularly skilled. Like just a dude. Like me, if I had immortality, that would suck.
Oh yeah. Benjamin says, well, Green Zone is the X-Men, but darker.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I don't know how monstrous I would even want to take this, because I mean, how do I want to take this? Because I could make it like outright scary.
You could. I mean, like, there are people. I ended up with a lot of animal characters in here, but the more I thought about mutation and genetic information and stuff, the more I thought it would be if things are just randomly mutating in people, it would be much more likely that you would end up with things that already exist on the planet that DNA already turns into, like fur and claws and spots and antlers and wings and things that already exist much more often than it would. Yeah, you could shoot fireballs out of your toes. Like, nothing on Earth does it. There are people that can like generate fire and fly and shoot lasers and stuff, but create hard light constructs and things. But they're a lot rarer than the people that just, like ended up with fangs and pointy ears or something. Imagine a genome that's on the autism spectrum or a genome with any disability. Okay, now I'm thinking, how do I make my fire guy look autistic? I'll give him a beard and glasses. That'll do it. It'll make it look like me. I can't do that because there's already a Mr. Fish character that's going to show up in Green Zone one day. All right, let's see.
Trying to see if I can give that army recruit kind of vibe.
I came up with one character in the military, a mutant that I really, really, really want to do. I really want to get into a story someday, but he would have to come in like issue 60 or 120 or something. Like he's got to be a little bit down the road. But yeah, I've got a character that's going to be me in the book later, and I wish I could tell you more about it, but I can't tell you too much or I'll give everything away. But he's not going to be a good guy. But I rolled up a random character that was like a mutant animal, and the animal was a wild boar, and they had cybernetic implants and like super intelligence and all this stuff. But it like pigs are already really intelligent. So I ended up making this like genetically enhanced cybernetic boar that is like a government experiment. And one thing that hasn't had a chance to really show up in Green Zone yet, they've touched on it a little bit, but like Virgil gets tested. Virgil and Bellamy and Brooks all get randomly tested as soon as they show up at the station to make sure that their genetic mutation is within a certain range, because if it's more than so far mutated from the human DNA, then they're legally considered animals no matter how smart they are. And like if Virgil mouthed off to somebody, he could be put down on the street like you would a rabid dog. And like you don't even have the qualities of being a non-citizen like he does now. And everybody is so sure that Virgil is a monster. He's got to just be a mutant lizard. He looks too much like a lizard to not be a mutant lizard. You know, Brooks looks a lot like a mountain goat, but the purple is the only thing that really makes him stand out. Oh, Mr. E, why is your name Brian? His name is Brian because of
5-star, I'm assuming.
Critical Affection. There was the last show on, and Brian apparently was the last one into the show and set up his name. And Ugly got in before me, because my name was Brian when I joined in first too, and I had to change it.
There we go. That should modify eventually. All right, so I'm kind of going in, trying to show off at least like the AK, or at least like use the gun as. By the way, preset guns, always great to have, as a nifty little tool here. So thank you, Mr. Fish, for that one episode of School of Fish where we got to finally learn how to use fun and nifty preset brushes in order to, make drawing easy in our lives.
Oh yeah, man. If like in Alice Lost in Wonderland, I made for the Nexus Order that's hunting her, I made several versions of their guns so I can just pull those in whenever I need them for the bad guys, and it makes arming an army of people so much faster.
Okay, so we're just doing
than having to remember how I drew that gun 100 times.
There we go. Just got to get that arm on the position there, because I want to at least give this guy the creep factor of giving him like at least a couple of arms. Like a spider. You okay, hon?
Yeah.
What'd you drop there? She remains silent, for she's scared of what she has done. Or not, I could be wrong.
Lamenting the fact that she dropped it, but resolute in the fact that she dropped it as if it were hot. What is up, Lori Foster? I'm just inundated with Loris today. Foster, Calcaterra, everything's coming up Lori today. got a bunch of
clean
new
the tape?
backers like
You clean the
Mark
tape?
Florio, Daniel Caliban, Lars Benjamin Stein, Up the Graph, Bill Treadwell, Zach Rossner, Definite Article, Free Spirit, Adam Yoshi Unity Fitz, Russell, Stuart Plum,
Alrighty.
Jorge Medina. Let's see what we're at now. Give it a little old refresh, because my computer will be getting behind. Oh, we're about to break 1,000, baby. With
Let's
16
go.
backers.
All
We are
right,
on
guys.
the way. Imagine a genome that resembles an armadillo and a bat with the abilities to kill the corrupt police force. Ooh.
Want to work on those Hero Forge, but I gotta go get streamed. I gotta go. Great stream, y'all. I'll be back. All right, doggone comics. You be safe now.
Yep. Have fun, man. All right. Back to my drawing, because I'm starting to dig this guy. And I'm thinking, much like, oh, who was it that suggested it in the comments? I'm thinking since I rolled up no powers, but he has an elemental form with the fire, I'm thinking like maybe like a fairy fire kind of thing. Like, it's an illusionary. It looks like fire, but it doesn't actually burn. So like he can look really scary and try and terrify people, but if they actually pressed him on it, he can't really do anything about it. Okay, now see, that's something I'm gonna tell you right there. That's a big part of where Virgil comes from, because Virgil looks absolutely terrifying because he's an 8 foot tall lizard monster. And I spent most of my life looking absolutely terrifying at nearly 6.5 feet tall and 300 pounds and black trench coat and long black mohawk and shades I never took off because I was autistic and I didn't want to look people in the eyes. And all that stuff. Virgil's absolutely what it feels like to everybody to think you're scary, but you're actually not, and you're more afraid than they are most of the time. And at worst, the most he can do is bluff by trying to, puff up and look big. And usually when you hear him growling and stuff in the book, it's usually because he's getting scared and his nose and stuff is getting stopped up and he can't breathe and he's literally like gurgling on his own stuff because like he's terrified. And but like I have made it through so many things in my life, so many traumatic events in my life that could have well taken me out purely off bluffing. Like at one point, one of the small local gangs in my high school set it up as their initiation that this kid had to shoot me in the middle of class, like in the middle of the hallway at school. And kid pulls a gun on me and I see the guy standing behind him and I know this dude. I've spent a lot of time with this dude and I really felt betrayed that he suddenly made this the initiation. And I look at this kid and I just bowed up on him. I mean, there's nothing I can do against this weapon he's pointing at me, but I bowed up on him. I cut out, didn't I?
Oh, no.
Man, come on now.
This has to be by far one of the scarier characters I think I've ever drawn.
Can you hear me, Esteban?
I can hear you. I just can't see you. Your screen's all void and vacant.
Yeah, my camera's locked up on me here.
That's odd. You want to pop in and out? I'll see if I can try to keep entertaining the crowd here.
Yeah, I'm going to do that and be back.
And now there is only me. It's really tough. I'm so sorry about that. I know Mr. Fish is the sexier one out of the two of us, but I'm just saying. Anywho's in. Jokes aside, though, imagine a genome with a face that looks like a mix of a gas mask and a plate. Oh, God, that's just disgustingly awesome. I can hear him, but I can't see. Yeah, no, same situation over here. So he's going to pop right back in. But, guys, hey, we're already shooting for 1,000, so we just need another 5 more to go. The minimum requirement in order for Fish to get his book on the go is supposed to be 4,000. That's so that he can get the book and everything all completed and whatnot. Exactly. Thank you, fiance. So let's shoot. Let's just shoot. This is for me. You're Red Ugly. Let's shoot for 6. All right. Why? So that y'all can get the cool, awesome miniature things. And then that way I can have a cool, vehicle for my Red Ranger over here that, the fiance printed out could actually partake in and actually, do some really cool things with and stuff like that. Because why not? Because I know y'all would love to see something like that. So go support the book while you can. Get yourself some t-shirts and fun little trinkets. And Mr. Fish is back.
All right. There we go.
Hoorah. There we go. There we go.
Hey, we can't see you, said Benjamin.
And now we're back in action. I can see you. I can hear you. I got no hat on now. This is crazy.
Up is down, left is right.
Dogs have 5 different genders, and I wouldn't know it. Anywho's, and yeah, this is by far the scariest kind of thing I've drawn by far. I don't know, because not weirdly enough, funnily enough, spiders are something I'm very scared of. I'm an arachnophobic to an extent.
What is up, Brad Arney? Good to see you, brother.
Hey, howdy, hey, how we doing today, Mr. Brad Arney?
Hope you're having a great day, brother.
All right, so now I'm just going to be getting in some of them general shapes. I'm going to make him look a bit too combative and stuff like that. Rolled up a villain human with super strength and elemental crystal armor. Thinking I'm calling them Dark Shard. Ooh, it's a good one. And then what makes it funny is that when the hero tries to make fun of them, they get to call him Dark Shard. So there you go. You're welcome. Now your hero has a comedic thing to say to the said villain, because I'm a mature adult. I pay bills. I do taxes, I think.
All right. Now, what is this guy going to wear as a gangster? I'm thinking if he doesn't have any powers and he doesn't have anything to really protect him, I'm thinking leather jacket.
I wanted to show him holding the gun, but I feel like that's also restricting me showing off the potential creep factor of this dude. It actually reminds me of times when I would try drawing, I will say that weirdly enough, as scared as I am of spiders, I am always into the idea of driders, which in D&D are dark elves that are half elf, and then the lower half is spider. Well, then you'd be lunch to the arachnophobia demon that Pop Cross made under. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, I remembered when he started doing the demons as he made phobias as demons. I remembered that, and trust me, yeah, I would have fell under the arachnophobia thing quick. I mean, he did fairly good with that art piece. I wasn't scared of that, but if you put an actual image of a spider in front of me, I'm gonna freak out. Love your bug drawing with a big butt shotgun load and so forth. I am going to keep at least the concept of that. I just didn't want to show the gun because I feel like it's restricting what I could show design wise. I guess because I want to show the fact that he's an army person or, a soldier of some kind. So I want to keep up with that. So thank you. And then trust me, I am going to keep the big butt aspect of that because, I think it's called an abdomen, if I'm incorrect.
That's cool, man. That's a really cool idea. Having a character that can eat things and then nuclearly convert that into pure energy at 100% efficiency.
Sounds like Upchuck from Ben 10. It's just instead of nuclear energy,
just
radioactive vomit.
But where he can shoot that energy out like a gunshot. That's cool.
Okay, let's go over here.
He shoots it out and blasts. He has a pure liquid diet for the rest of his life. Well, let it get in quicker. For character type, I rolled sanitation. Does that mean they're the guys that clean up after the mess of hero fights? That means they work for the sanitation department, trashmen and stuff. But I'm really glad you rolled that up and you asked that, because sanitation is the crookedest department to come up through, and it's one of the only ones that it's hard to get flushed out of. Like Virgil almost gets washed out his first day because he can't fit his belt around his waist because he's 8 feet tall. The belt doesn't fit, but Danny puts it around his wrist and then argues with his dad that that's within, that's within
Regulations.
regulation. And so his dad just ignores it and lets it go. But in sanitation, you're not going to get washed out for something like that. But it is super corrupt. Like, you've got to hardcore be willing to deal with really bad dudes to go through sanitation. And it seems like on its surface, it's a hard working way to get through there. Maybe they're not the most pleasant smelling, but it's a dangerous place to come up through. Like, they're the folks that will bury the bodies and stuff and make things disappear. And
All right, there's some creep factor going on here.
oh yeah, 100%. Sanitation is way more corrupt than the police force. Like, and there's people on the force, like Danny's dad, Sergeant Kim, that have the best of intentions, but like ultimately he could be as big a racist sometimes as anybody else can be against genomes, and get mad that it's people like you that make them look down on me, when the fact is they're going to look down on him no matter what. But he's really hoping that if he tries hard enough and does enough, he'll get a seat at the table one day, and doesn't realize yet that there's no amount of work he can put in that's ever going to make that system fair. But he still hopes and believes that it could be.
Okay, I think I got it.
I'm back and I made my character in Hero Forge. He has ice powers named Jamie Ram, and he can turn into a gas form. Hero idea, pun edition.
Okay.
You know what? He needs to have an arm up or something.
There we go. There. I think I got a position that's worth keeping. So I guess in a weird way, like the gun still kind of covered it up, but I want to show, like, I guess the creep factor. I want to show like all the other limbs and arms and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't tell. Like, I kind of dig what I'm doing here because I feel like this could also be like a good cover pose. Like you can kind of see like the green zone cops are probably going in. Like maybe he's just like, I just want my freedom. Who knows? Benjamin asks, also, are you designing a new character for Green Zone, Mr. Fish?
Yes, I am.
I mean, essentially, we're both kind of designing it, except his is more in the Green Zone style, given how he made it. We got Tommy saying, I was planning my own Pokemon-inspired concept where it would be a parody of stuff like Pokemon, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh!, etc., while still respecting the things that take inspiration from concept-wise. That's actually a lot of fun. I mean, then again, as long as you can make it your own and still, pay homage to it in a good way, then I'm always for it. I mean, heck, I'm making a knockoff Spider-Man, and he meets up with the Powerpuff Girls, and that's how he gets a super suit. How that makes sense, I will never know. We got Hero Idea Pun Edition Anthropod, a guy who stores bugs in Pokeballs like orbs and chucks them at people, where the bugs hop out and do whatever task to do, which is the case to be creepy. And then we have Dragon Game says, I see what I can I'll see what I can make in Hero Forge and post it on Instagram. So I'm thinking you're a typical bad guy, black trench coat with a rifle or with a reflective black crystal mask. They look unassuming until they armor up. Then you have to
Cool.
show them what they are when they're armored up. And now you got to make 2 whole forges out of that.
Oh, see, that's another character that I haven't had a chance to show yet. But I have 2 characters right now that I'm planning on using at some point in Green Zone, that are almost like mythical level bad guys. They're like, their names are Cinder and Shard, and they're both like elemental demons that are trapped in these 2 masks, these 2 like ancient masks from 2 different cultures. And when somebody puts those masks on, they at first they start to be able to use the powers and abilities, tap into the ice and the fire powers of Cinder and Shard. But the more you use it, the more you're unleashing them from the mask, and then eventually they take over completely, and you are no more. You are just the host that they're puppeting around now. And I really want to show them because like a lot of people will fight to get their hands on that mask and stuff because they know like all they're thinking of is the power, and they're not thinking of like, I'm going to get lost in that because everybody thinks, well, I could do it differently than everybody else did. I'm not going to make the same mistakes they made. I could rob a bank and, I wouldn't get caught because I wouldn't tell anybody. But everybody can see you suddenly driving in on a brand new motorcycle and flexing your Rolex and whatnot.
All right, I think I got someone more keeping over here. All right, character idea number 2, or pun edition number 2, yin and yang, police officer, good cop, bad cop, but more literal dynamic duo. Okay, the fact that I haven't seen that as a comic book yet, I'm very upset about, because that would be the funniest like buddy cop comic ever made. And I would love to see that. Man, I kind of wish I made that up myself. How dare you?
How dare you indeed, he says. Do I have it in here? I ask myself quietly, hoping nobody hears. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I had a better one than that.
You see, and now this is the quiet part where we get so zoned in trying to draw out our concepts here.
Couldn't happen. Whoa, that's way too big, fishy.
All right, he looks too happy to be a spider. He needs to look a little miserable. I realized I kind of gave him like the cute little mandibles. Like, nah, I need him to look a little disgusting here. I think it's the big eyes. That's what it is. Them big old eyes.
Okay.
Stop staring at me with them big old eyes.
What kind of hair does a fire guy have? Now, my first thought is like usually you would have like sticking up hair, but that seems a little on the nose to me.
Now, hear me out on this. A low blue flame, like kind of like a bit faded, but like blue, just like a hint of blue color. That's it, because that's like the true like color at the very bottom of a flame. The yellow and the red and the whatever, that's always on the top. But if you're talking about low burn, like sure he has like an elemental form, but like maybe he, in order to kind of keep that presentation, like he doesn't have any powers, and the fire hair is just at that point aesthetic. It doesn't really do much. It doesn't even heat up a marshmallow. It's just maybe his excess body heat just coming in the form of the blue flame over his head, or the way that he kind of flares it out.
So would Mr. Fish's gangster be trying to make a deal with Mr. E's character? I don't know. He's military, man.
Yeah, and I think my character would be too stuck in the military to even do anything. I mean, not only that, given how I'm drawing him, he'd be too freakish to let out with a citizenship. He would have to be like, he would have to be off kilter.
I could easily see that. I hadn't even thought about this before, but I could easily see him being like there's no way we're going to let him get citizenship, right? Like, we cannot put that thing out there with citizenship. And because you can look really scary but not have your DNA mutated as far as, say, somebody else who looks human, but maybe they can shoot lasers out of their eyes. Like, they may have a much bigger mutation than you have. Like, Virgil's mutation is the smallest out of everybody that got tested, even though he's the biggest, scariest looking dude. What is going on here?
Yeah, but I will say with this guy in particular, there's no way he's getting his citizenship. I feel like at best he would only make the deal with him if he can be granted like a legal, thing of citizenship, if possible. But again, I don't think they would ever grant that to him.
Mm-hmm.
Just off rip, just the fact that he looks like this scary spider guy,
But I was going to try and say earlier, it hasn't had a chance to come up much other than Virgil getting tested and getting harassed a bit. But mutant animals have like no rights in this world. If you're an actual, like if you were a Ninja Turtle, you're just a nuisance that needs to be put down. You're not, there is no path to citizenship for you. If you were livestock that was experimented on and now you're super intelligent and can fly and control the weather with your mind, doesn't matter. You are an animal, and if anything, you are a nuisance and need to be put down. There are no protections for them. So there is a animal terrorist organization. They're freedom fighters called the Freedom League that are fighting for animal rights in the background, and they haven't had a chance to become a big part of the story yet, but they're out there fighting for animal rights, and everybody views them as terrorists. And when they do show up, I wonder who everybody's going to assume Virgil is in league with, because he sure looks like he would be on their side, even though his mutation isn't that terribly big.
Just what it feels like to be in the blacks.
There's so much I want to tell you guys, but I don't want to give away stuff that should be in issue, 30 and 40 and 100. And I hope I get there one of these days. We sold one of the retail bundles to Mark Florio.
Let's go.
Thank you, Mark. And even if Mark isn't going to put them in his store and sell them, Mr. Midlife Crisis came in and got the first B in the book tier. Mr. Midlife, always coming through on making my day sunny. I love you, brother. Oh, man.
Ooh, that was a good one. Benjamin said, what if Mr. E's character would be a secret member of the Freedom Fighters? The closest connection he'll ever have as like someone in the military. And I can imagine like maybe there's probably an off section region. That sounds like Animal Farm, but with like, more sentient animals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, imagine if a genome who was a poacher. Oh, see, that's awesome. Just made my pledge, says Dragon Gaming. Good luck, Uncle Fish. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Oh, Trey came in with the metal cover t-shirt bundle. That's awesome.
Let's go, guys. Remember, 4,000 is the minimum. 6,000 is where we need to be, though.
We're already at we're closing in on 1,500 now, and we've only been at this for just over an hour.
Let's go, guys. I'm loving it. I like
That
what
is
I'm seeing
awesome,
here.
man.
Keep it
I
up, guys.
appreciate each and every one of y'all so much. 21 backers. Chugging along, buddy. Character idea upon edition number 3 says bootleg, a sidekick imitator of Puss in Boots who admires him to the point of obsession. He is a dog with sneakers instead of a cat in boots.
Actually, remember that reminded me of a character as like a joke character. There was this one weird like Netflix show. It was about like this kid who bought a toy company or whatever, and they always made a bunch of these like strange and unique toys or something like that. I forgot what, I think it was called. The name of the show doesn't pop up automatically, but I remember they were doing an episode dedicated to like trying to create a superhero toy. And then they came across the name of Sidekick, which is a character who has the ability to kick from the side, which is like a funny gimmick. And then I took that idea and then I'm like, okay, wait, hold on, Sidekick. And then I gave it like a whole like aesthetic and everything. I made like his logo look like the letter S, but also a foot. So like, I got to draw that character again. That was actually a lot of fun. Sometimes you just need to create a dumb name for a character and then just go with it. And then boom, there you go. You have like your $1 billion idea is the dumbest thing you'll probably ever come up with. Great examples are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's just being silly one day.
And then little did they know, they created the world's greatest media empire.
As did Kim Kardashian. Same thing.
All right, then. I think I did a pretty solid job. This is as best I'm going to get to show off, like, the fact that this is a creepy spider dude. Didn't see the Pokemon inspired concept. Gym leaders, champions would lose parodies of existing characters from Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! While poking fun at the characters. Better yet, why don't you make some of the gym leaders the part of like the OG 151 Pokemons or something like that? Like you have the water one who has very, unique visual looks to like Squirtle, or if it's something like Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe you can get one of the characters from the cards to look like a gym leader or something like that. So like say you got Dark Magician, but then he's also like a psychic trainer of some kind, but you make it work to that level or to that extent or something like that. Not a bad idea. And then we have, imagine if there was a version of Jupiter Jack, Meteor Mandy, Oak Fang in the universe of GREENZONE. Basically, I remember you kind of saying something like that, where a lot of the characters we've drawn thus far for a lot of our other Roll for Hero episodes, if they were like all part of a different universe, not against the idea of that. But then again, this is Mr. Fish's world, so he has the final say on how that works,
That would be cool though.
And also, that would actually be interesting too, because you were talking about those demon characters that were based on those masks, and then, like with Oak Fang, he actually needs to wear like that mask in order to keep his focus with the spirit guides that allow him his elemental abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's and in this world there are aliens from other planets. It's got everything that standard like tights superhero world would have. It's just from more of a how do I think that would really go down in our world kind of perspective. And in a world where they have lots of professional heroes and stuff, like if say you're an alien that comes to this world, then basically, if they think you're going to be any use to Alpha, you will get very quickly pressured into working for them. And there is like the team that I would like to do more stories about at some point, that's like a B level team in like one of the side stories that is in the trade, the B team. Yeah.
Wasn't it based on what Bear wrote?
Do what?
Isn't it based on what Bear wrote?
Yeah, it's that story that Bear wrote. It has an alien on the team. and he's a shapeshifter, and he got arrested for identity theft, and basically, the leadership at Alpha told him, like, we can either start to vivisect you and find out, like, more about your species that way, or you can work for us and, end up getting your citizenship and whatnot. And it's actually way easier for aliens to get their citizenship than it is for genomes.
Man, this came at you, hon.
Gross.
I wonder how Melanie's gonna react to that.
She's gonna say it's hot or something.
No, she won't. She got weirded out by the gorilla squid
Oh,
thing.
that's true. That's true.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. Imagine if there was a Ben 10 like character in the Green Zone. How would that work if there was a Ben 10 adjacent character in the Green Zone universe?
That could be really interesting, honestly, because like there are like non-genome powered heroes. Like there's a guy flying around in issue 3 and 4. His head's on fire with red fire. He's got a bright glowing red arm that's an energy construct because he lost his arm when he got his powers. But he's like the epitome of like an old school Marvel, like this accident happened and you got superpowers, and he's that kind of guy. So like Peter Parker isn't a mutant. This guy's not a genome. He's a non-genome powered human. And
okay, actually, here's some fun. Now that I think about it, hold on real quick. Let me get this comment. I'm gonna ask you that question. I was also planning on making an inspired concept based on in Zuma 11, which also has aliens and stuff, like world building wise, and the protagonist would be an international soccer group as well. Interesting. That is interesting. Inazuma, I haven't heard of it. Just dropped my pledge, says Dad Pool.
What's up, Dad Pool? Thank you.
That is interesting. But also I was gonna ask you, so like, okay, so given how the world of Green Zone is basically like the Marvel universe, but done in a more strategic kind of level, again, more government involvement and all that other kind of stuff, how would you kind of, so there are times where people can apprehend abilities or superpowers or something like that through those classic comic book accidents.
Oh yeah, like I mean, there are mad scientists and stuff that are building things all the time. There's black markets where you can buy freeze guns and stuff if you're like an ice themed bad guy and you need to hook up your henchmen. Like there's all that stuff around. So
then now the question here is, how does one go about that, because of the fact that there are genomes out there, and then like cops and law enforcement can look at somebody with superpowers and be like, is that a genome, or is that some guy who just got powers by accident?
That's the thing. And it's, in a way, it's a lot like the way Marvel does it, where the average public kind of looks at you very differently if something happened to you and it gave you powers like Captain America or Spider-Man, as opposed to you were born that way. Because if you're born that way, then there's something different about you and you're dangerous. But, if it just happened to you, well, that could happen to me, and I can't hate you for that, because that could be me. But them scary genomes, they were born that way. It's racism. I mean, it's, why are you going to be mad at, a poor person that's struggling, that's a different skin color, when you're poor and struggling too? It's not their fault that y'all are both poor, but we're sitting here in the exact same boat being mad at each other rather than being mad at the people that are putting us there. But just like aliens get a much better time than genomes usually do too, because people looked at it like, oh wow, that's cool, you came from beyond the stars, clearly they must be better than us in some way, or smarter or more advanced, and we have so much to learn from you and your ways. And but somebody who comes from the blocks that can live literally like travel time and like take you to tour the pyramids. He's a monster. He's unnatural. He would. God never intended him. You know how stupid people can be.
I know. I met them. I met them today at my job. Because people at gas stations, they just don't like to think. But also, I live in the most heavily tourist region of Florida, so I mean, it's not entirely their fault. Foreigners, I can always, give the exception to. And then when it comes down to actual native,
nobody thinks on vacation.
Now, some people are on vacation. I'll give them the exception. But when they're from here, I'm like, brother, you're from the state. How do you not know? But that is just me complaining about dumb people. Isn't Mr. Fish on crunch time? That is true because he has an entire podcast after this. And, I feel like I've been spending way too much time yapping. And
oh, goodness gracious. Thank you guys for paying attention because I got busy drawing the genome and I forgot all about it.
Yeah, honestly, this kind of makes me question how we briefly mentioned it, but we are considering, depending. Nothing is set in stone yet on the idea of like time changing or maybe even doing this on a different day, just because, you got this next podcast right after that. And I like the idea of us sitting down and enjoying the drawing process, but
Well, it is. I didn't think how much we have enjoyed and the fans have enjoyed hanging out with us, which really surprised me that people want to hang out for like 3 hours and watch us draw and make up characters has been a huge surprise. But if we did consider moving the day, would that be a deal breaker or a problem for anybody? Not that we are going to, but just thought about it so that we wouldn't be on the same time crunch. I know like Kyron has mentioned before he would love to watch the show, but Wednesdays is the day his kids get off of school early, so he's got to go pick them up in California when we're starting the show. So if anything, he gets to pop in for a second and say hi and then leave. But can't change everything. Sometimes I draw with you for hours, says Dragon Gaming, because Dragon Gaming's an OG.
This is true. Yeah, but I got the general gist of my character down over here. I mean, I haven't fully finished the line art, but you kind of get the gist of where I'm coming at.
Steve Bishop says, man, I want the posters in the retail bundle, but also I want a character in the book. Decisions. Dude, if you want your character in the book, let me know. I'll send you a poster. I ain't hung up about it. Especially for the high tier, I can give you a poster. Like I got one guy from Singapore, Ezekiel, that backs everything that I do. And oh God, that just reminded me I forgot to put in the delayed shipping tier. Oh, I gotta add that add-on. But like he's the reason I usually use the delayed shipping tier because he's in Singapore, so it's easier for him to delay shipping and have me ship everything at one time in one bundle, because it basically costs me the same thing to ship 3 pounds of books to him as it does to ship a single book. But yeah, absolutely. If you want the poster on that tier, I'll hook you up. No problem. Right now, I'm working on characters I roll for. I use Roll for Hero to make some alternate versions of my original character. Cool.
Ooh, fun. Taking your character, but rolling them up with some different stats, different powers. That's actually pretty darn nifty there.
Mm-hmm.
But also, let's actually get back. Guys, everyone in the chat, make sure to please answer the question. I mean, again, we're just kind of yapping things out. We haven't set in stone anything yet, but would you guys be, off kiltered with the whole time? Like if we were to switch Roll for Hero on a different day, just because, again, I want to enjoy the process with everyone here. And obviously I don't want Mr. Fish having to feel like he's rushing 50,000 different, to like all these other things. So would you guys mind us doing a different day, or would you want to keep it on Wednesdays? Please let us know, because again, this does ultimately affect the way that we kind of make content like this, especially with me, because I love Wednesdays, but I'll always love a day where I get to do Roll for Hero regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's just me, though. That is just me. And my opinions that nobody asked for.
I mean, there's also the thing, like, that's the reason that I pushed to get the 5-star feed on Wednesday, was because, like, it already takes such a big chunk out of my day working to, like, promote the show, get the show made, send out updates and stuff to let people know on the email list that the show's going live and here's the link, and then doing the show. And then, like, even when it's just our show, after this, I'm pretty wiped out after we get done with this. Dadpool says a different day would be better for him. Look at old Dadpool out there. But that takes a lot out of me. So I was like, well, if I'm going to lose, if I'm going to lose the majority of a day streaming anyway,
You
I
might
might
as
as well
well
just lose the one
one
whole day and get it
Yeah.
all knocked out. So I usually do everything at the same time, and I set up both shows, and I send out the links to guests and whatnot, and do all that stuff at the same time. So on one hand, it's saving me just losing one day of work, but also I do miss the time. Though it might work out where the guys want to move 5-star 30 minutes later or something. I don't know.
And that time difference always tends to be, again, a major factor here. All right, I think I kind of got the majority of this. Not perfect, but that's okay. I need to beat the perfectionist out of me anyways. That is literally one of my biggest goals for this year. Like, I know January already passed, I know we're in February, but still, like, if that's a New Year's resolution goal for me, it's definitely to beat that perfectionist out of me, so then I can just kind of get to the point of making, fun stuff and all that kind of.
Tommy says, I heard that horror characters can sound scary with normal or simple name concepts. Wise if executed correctly. Oh, yeah, like the Candyman is absolutely terrifying. There shouldn't be anything terrifying about the Candyman. But, when you said the Candyman, like, that sounds terrifying.
Before that movie ever came out, I actually did have a supervillain in my universe called the Candyman. And he actually was like, he's basically Joker and Willy Wonka kind of combined together. So he was his very robust personality. But it's like, oh, it looks like that I had a gumdrop of an idea. And like, he would just be like the most annoying supervillain that anyone would ever
Or
have.
like King Candy. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Oh, you hit him with glasses. I see what you did there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like a comment. It's like the personality of King Candy, the psychotic nature of Joker, and the visual aesthetics of Willy Wonka. That was the Candyman. That was like my supervillain for a while. And I actually liked that idea. And he was going to be like an Unbeatables villain, but I can't tell if I would give him to the Grub or to my other character, Power Core is what I'm calling him, but he was once known as Powerful. But I definitely, got to work with that when I can. And I forgot to give this guy a forehead. This is the strangest character I think I've ever drawn. And I've drawn many things. This is a strange one.
I like the idea of this guy having fire, but it doesn't burn. Like, looking scary and having to bluff his way through stuff. And, like, even being able to, like, create a giant inferno off of himself, but it doesn't even, like, scorch the paint on the walls or set off the fire alarms. Like, it's all show and no go. So that's part of why I made him so big, because he's gonna have to fight at times. Like, he's gonna have to throw a punch, but the bigger and scarier he can make himself look. So he's got the leather jacket and he's got the big heavy boots and he carries around the chain that he can generate a fire on, but it doesn't hurt. The chain will hurt, but the fire doesn't hurt. But anything he can do to make himself look scarier, to keep people from wanting to fight him, because
it's like, man, they don't want to burn out. They don't want to touch that kind of nonsense.
If he really gets into a fight with somebody, he's probably going to get murdered when, they can control his mind or whatnot. And, like, like Carlos that runs the blocks is a skinny little dude in a pink silk suit, but his power is intimidation. Like, you know, his yellow eye that's cracked through his face usually can intimidate just about anybody, unless that person has nothing to lose. Like Virgil has absolutely nothing to lose. So he doesn't have any family you can threaten. He doesn't have any physical wealth to lose. He has no political standing. He has no friends. He has nothing. So there's nothing to scare him with. So the intimidation doesn't work. But it works on just about everybody else. Tommy says Mr. Fish character looks quite like Blade, somewhat, and quite like that. Thank you. He does absolutely kind of look like Blade. I was thinking the same thing as I put the jacket on him. But yeah, I'm gonna need to get going. You can actually keep going for a while if you want to.
Yeah, I'll keep it up from here because I kind of got the gist of the character I got going on and whatnot. And I bet you any money everyone's going to be suggesting some video ideas for me on my channel. So, Mr. Fish, awesome work with you. I love the character concept. Can't wait to see the official design that you have. Guys, go support Mr. Fish on his Kickstarter, please. Go get yourself any aspect of, you know, the Green Zone, Life in the Blast. Get yourself the whole.
We beat 1,600 already.
Already.
Thank you guys so much.
Let's go, guys. Remember, 6,000. It's not the minimum, but that's where we need to make it the minimum. 4,000 is what we need. 6K is what we definitely need. But that's just my humble opinion. Nobody asked for. Mr. Fish, you got some other things you got to take care of.
Oh man, Dadpool, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you backing, dude. I just saw your pledge. Thank you very much. But anyway, y'all have a great night. Have fun. Keep drawing. And I will see some of y'all on the 5-star feed here at 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern. But otherwise, I will see you guys later. Thank you very much.
All right, Fish. Keep it easy, bud. All right?
Absolutely, man.
All righty. Now it is just me, your weird Uncle E, as soon as Mr. Fish is gone. There we go. And there is only me and my scary Spider-Man, who I actually wish was the Spider-Man, but we are going different with it. This is really, really interesting. Never thought I would draw this, but got to love roll for something here. All right, everyone. Mr. E, you going to make an Ultra Value Batman? At some point, yes. But kind of like with my Ultra Value Spider-Man, I kind of want to just veer away from what was typically used. So, of course, spiders, again, I have made like a public domain Spider-Man, but there's a reason why I didn't use that when making my own comic of it. So for those that may or may not know, I am currently in the process of creating my very own comic book called The Grub. If anything, I like to think, you know, let me finish this up real quick and I'll show you that just so that we can kind of get that on the go. That is a very creepy looking dude. All right. What do you guys think of this horrific spider guy? Yeah, definitely going to add some flesh tones here to give it that, you know, creep and nasty factor, because why not? Actually, we're going to make that top layer a little bit more darker like so. Oh, look at that. Yeah, just imagine this thing coming at you in the middle of the battlefield. Boom. There we go. So that is my official overall design for Mr. Fish's Green Zone. This is my Green Zone Sona, if you will, or the character that would live in Mr. Fish's Green Zone, who is a soldier, basically forced to be in the army or in any militaristic forces and whatnot, and has to essentially, you know, partake in doing things. He has the ability to mutate other people. So maybe in some other part of the world where he's forced to kind of like take down people, he would also mutate them to become even crazier and creepier genomes and stuff like that. Make him a hairy, oh God. I'll probably do that later on, but I also want to show off the Grub, which ironically kind of fits into this whole like Spider-Man knockoff type of theming and whatnot. So here's the character that I actually have here. This is my character, the Grub. Originally, this was supposed to be a 24-hour comic book challenge, and then I got invested, and here he is. So this is actually the character I've been working on for a while. He is actually one of the 3 characters that I want to work on for this year, but I can't tell if I want to actually work with more. I can't tell if I want to work on more stories with this character or not, because I really like the way that I drew out his story. It's all done in like classic panelings and all these awesome, just again, the whole point is it's supposed to feel like an early Marvel comic book, very fast paced, very to the point. Like again, he gets bitten by a genetically enhanced grub. And there we go. And we got all this other kind of fun stuff. And then I also made the reference earlier on in this episode that he got his suit from this rendition of like this world's interpretation of the Powerpuff Girls, which is actually going to be, a video that I would very much like to do. So yeah, this is actually a page from the Grub. This is actually towards the end of it. Anyways, but yeah, so kind of like with the Ultra Value Spider-Man, I wanted to veer away from spiders because I actually had, what's it called? The Ultra Value Spider-Man story is actually kind of what I took and made the baseline for the Grub. So kind of like with my Ultra Value, Batman, if I ever do that, I kind of want to veer away from bats just because, again, there's that legal distinction, especially if I ever decide to start working on that as an actual comic book. I have the Owl, which is that, public domain character or whatnot, so I could do that. But, that's a whole different thing. Anyways, Tommy says, I was going to say for my Armored Heroes concept, I was going to try to make the morphers for the Kamen Rider inspired heroes to use in my concept to be simple design-wise and stuff like that. That's interesting. Especially, you got Armored Heroes. Yeah, I feel like Kamen Rider methods would still keep going on from there. For my Green Zone villain, instead of Dark Shard, how about the name of Diamond Cut? Ooh. Or even though I don't know Blood is in the title of it, Blood Diamond would still have a bit of a harder hit, but that's just my opinion. Nobody asked for though. Oh man, but I do like Dark Shard. I know, sorry for the Shard joke, but Dark Shard still is a really cool one. I even made a superhero character called the Shard who had like this whole rainbow, appeal and whatnot. And it'll be interesting to see the Grub face off against the Sinful Seven. Now you think so, but I actually have a different name for that. I feel like with the public domain Spider-Man, he had his, Sinful Seven, and I feel like that was very like on par for the course because Spider-Man had 6, and in the case of like this public domain Spider-Man, he could have 7 villains, and it makes a lot of sense. But for me, I actually have another name for it. So y'all are kind of getting some in-depth stuff here. I had this team name for a group of villains known as the Fatal Five or the Final Five or something like that. So it's kind of like the Sinister Six, except it's just -1, member. And there are some other villains that I had in mind. I don't know if I want to go with the Candyman concept because I feel like that should be more akin to for like a Batman style kind of hero or something like that. But I have some villains in mind. What's it called? I have this one called the Exterminator, who's, very fitting for a character like this. I like Blood Diamonds. Does sound really good, though, too. It is true. But then again, I don't know if that's going to, like, play into the effect of your character design. But like I said, that's just my opinion. Nobody asked for it. But if you go with it, have at it. And I can't wait to see what you make of it. What if Grub's version of Rhino is the Warthog? Or the hippopotamus, because those are equally as dangerous, but visually probably isn't that cool to do. So, I mean, I'll look into that. The warthog, that's actually pretty interesting. I like it. Not bad. Definitely keep that in mind. I mean, I haven't done anything like that for a while. I mean, I also want to try some other wackier concepts. Again, the whole point of the Ultra Value series is to make 100% knockoff renditions. So, sure, I could just make the Rhino and then just kind of make it my own. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing there, hon. Sorry, I just saw what you're doing, the iron lung buckets. That's going to be awesome. Anyways, my basic idea for my Pokemon-inspired concept battle system is that it would play out more like Digimon, where the two monsters/creatures would attack each other without a lot of complex stuff attached. Yeah, because you got a lot of like the toyetic anime stuff. Wow, that sounds so weird. You had a lot of the toyetic anime shows and concepts on your side here. Because again, you have Yu-Gi-Oh!, you have Digimon, you have Pokemon, you have a lot of those other, like, again, very toyetic, meant to sell something. So personally, I'm not against the idea of like, I can see where that works in a way, like I also like the idea that maybe that depending on the trainer and the creature itself, you have that bond would actually make them evolve for a temporary time and then go down, kind of like in Digimon. Anyways, that reminds me of Bebop and Rocksteady, LOL. That's true, because the Rhino from Spider-Man, then you got the Warthog idea kind of being the replacement, but yet it's also Bebop and Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles. Oh, man, that'd actually be very interesting. There's a lot of other characters that I want to introduce here, too. And I'm also trying to figure out my top 3. So I have 2 characters in mind that I want to use for like this year, because my goal is that I want to try to create 12 books, do a character and each having about 4 books each. So the Grub should have at minimum 4 books, and I should be done at least with the Grub for this year. And then after that, I have another character that I want to use definitively for sure. But then the third character is still loosey goosey. I had the idea of making it like a girl character that I had in mind for a while. It was a superhero that I had for the longest time. I also happen to have, another character, which some of y'all may or may not know. I made a whole video about him, which is known as Rocket Fist. So those characters, I feel like I can do something with those, but then again, it's just something really interesting to work on. By the way, also going to take this time to say, go support Mr. Fish and go on his Kickstarter, please. Make sure that you support him. He is trying to get this off and on the go. Support him. Again, 6K is where we want to be, everybody. Anyways, well, you should also use characters from the public domain, Sinister Six as villains from the Grub. I'm not against the idea. I guess the whole point for me is that I kind of want to veer away from the public domain to an extent, because I still want to make like the Ultra Value universe its own thing, right? The Ultra Value universe, I want to keep it as like 100% knockoffs, because the thing is with the public domain stuff, is really just really hard to keep up with. Because again, I think I've explained it before, but before I do, let me actually read this comment. Would you make a creepypasta character either a ripoff or inspired concept-wise, like Abandoned by Disney or Jeff the Killer or Slenderman? Personally, no, I'm not really a horror kind of guy. I mean, I could probably dive into topics like those, but not really my strong suit. It's not my wheelhouse of expertise there. Again, I only know comic books. I know cartoons to an extent. I am planning on doing like an Ultra Value Powerpuff Girls, and maybe even an Ultra Value Danny Phantom, Generator Rex, Ben 10. I mean, heck, the Ben 10 one is essentially just, speed dial, since we've been talking about that one. There's so many other ideas, but I don't think I can ever do like creepypasta stuff. Like, I can always be intrigued by it, but it's not really my wheelhouse of expertise. But that is a good question, though. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns, more concerns, the comments, the questions? Let me know. Let me know for sure, because I am currently just yapping and talking and yapping. Just trying to wait for the responses. Would you? Anywho, I mean, also, you don't want to rip off a writer that made up the story for a creepypasta. That is true as well, because writers and creepypastas, because again, you're more or less ripping off the author, not really much of the visual design elements of said character, unless said character is like, within the public domain or is open source. So again, do your research on that. Do you plan on bringing back the Unbeatables? To an extent, yes, but also no, in a weird way. I guess my goal for this year is to kind of like build up the Unbeatables. I guess because I was actually talking about this with Ethan on Obsidian Crown. Go check his stuff out. He's a lot of fun. He makes a lot of fun comics, especially his book that he made called Blood in the Land. Go check it out. It's a really, really fun time. We like to hear you, yeah, LOL. Hold on a second. We got another one saying you could do less horror-related FNAF concepts like FNAF, but more like Goosebumps somewhat. Okay, like FNAF, but comedy. That does sound very interesting. Actually, I did have a few, I had a few ideas. I made a Kiwi bird into a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. That would be a lot of fun to dive into. Would be interesting if Rocket Fist was the Grub's friend when they are in civilian life. Now you see that. Okay, hear me out on this one. This is a bit of the funny thing here. So Rocket Fist's story, right? So for those that do or don't know, I actually have a character, and this is Rocket Fist, right? Rocket Fist's story is the fact that he's actually a supervillain trying to redeem himself and to be a hero. Now, for those that follow Mr. Fish, we actually did like a little one-shot, like little superhero RPG game, and I tried playing Rocket Fist, and that's the reason why I love this character, because Fish came up with the design, I came up with the design, and we kind of merged it. Beyonce is going through the door.
Hi.
And she says hi. Hey, thanks for the shout. Hey, of course they're Obsidian Crown. Glad that you're able to pop on over. How you doing, bud? Anyways, though, if you can find them, can you team up? You can team up with them. My friend Sean did for I Drive for Server. It was a creepypasta story. Interesting. Gotta go animate now. See ya. Keep it easy, buddy. Hey, can't wait to see the awesome animations. But yeah, having fun making resin stuff, love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's gonna make her attempts at making. Is it okay if I say what you're doing, hon?
Huh?
Is it okay if I tell the audience what you're doing?
Yep.
So would you like to tell them what you're trying to do, or do you want me to say it?
Attempting to make iron lung dice.
There you go, everybody. She's trying to make. Fish Lee says, "Hi, fiance."
Hi, fiance.
Yeah. So for those that do or don't know, Markiplier actually took the STL files of his popcorn bucket for Regal and is trying to create, like, basically allows anyone to 3D print the popcorn bucket. And fiance over here, actually, can I show off your earring, please? Thank you, hon.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually created these awesome earrings. So she got this part from Amazon, but she 3D printed the popcorn bucket as a full-blown, like, little earring charm. And she actually got stopped by a few people because they wanted to take pictures of her awesome earrings and the bucket. So now she's actually trying to create iron lung dice because we have, where's the dice molds? Are they right over here? Is it? All right, there we go. So she got these dice molds from Hobby Lobby, and now she's trying to create little inserts and put them into the little mold and whatnot. So that'll be fun. Speaking of, would you guys want some Roll for Hero dice? Oh, right. Some Roll for Hero dice that are custom made, have some fun little inserts? Let me know. Anywho's. But to get to some of these other bits here and there, could Grub team up with the Unbeatables? If anything, maybe the Grub could actually be a part of the Unbeatables. Again, Power Core, aka Powerful. For those that do or don't know, is this guy over here. I decided to kind of go with the name Power Core, and trust me, his design actually changed by a lot because, again, this is a character that I had since I was 12 years old. So having a character, oh god, for context, and if Mr. Fish ever finds this is going to be probably a clip on its own. This is a character that I came up with when I was 12 years old. I was in middle school, and at first I was trying to think about what logo has not been used on a superhero yet. And I thought about this power button logo. If there are superheroes with this logo, I have yet to properly see it. But I drove with this concept till this day, and I wanted to find a justifiable reason to make this character. And the fact that I was able to put him in my first book of the Unbeatables was fantastic. The fact that I made a Ben 10 knockoff was hysterical, but I really wanted to do something, with this concept, and I'm glad I came up with a design for it. And I really like the way this came out. But let me show y'all, I guess, his more new and improved design, if you will. Where are you at? You are in Ragtags. Oh, there you are. There we go. So I'm actually struggling with 3 characters to work on for this year. Hiya there, Eddie. How you doing? Unfortunately, Mr. Fish had to go on his other stream. If you want to go say hi to him, go say hi to him. Go check him out on his other stream. Also, if you're still here, make sure to go check out Mr. Fish's Kickstarter for the Green Zone trade paperback and whatnot. Get yourself some goodies and all that kind of stuff. Power Core, my boy. That's true. Yep. So this here is like the new and improved renditions of some of the characters. The Grub has actually been the most consistent character. So design-wise, I don't think there was much change to him. Obviously, there's Power Core over here, a character I made since I was 12. And at this point, this is like his Kamen Rider overall look and whatnot. And then we have Rocket Fist. I love this character so much because his design just totally, beats off the other characters over here. What's it called? Would it be interesting to see Power Core and the Grub be allies, or actually Power Core used to be the Grub's middle school bully? Funnily enough, so this is actually the interesting part here too. So it turns out these 2 characters right over here, Grub and Rocket Fist, they actually end up getting their powers from the same company. And once I get the Grub out in a method of like getting to show off, like if I can find a way to get the Grub out to you guys, they're from Iron Pulse Industries. That's like the fictional like Oscorp, if you will, of this world. And in the case of Rocket Fist, he got his powers because of some genetic enhancements, or he went through an accident. Cybernetic parts ended up giving him telepathic abilities to technology and all that other kind of fun stuff. And then, of course, the Grub got bitten by a genetically enhanced Grub from a sectioned off part of the building, which was, with a door on it that says, Project Primal Kingdom. Dream blunt rotation. Yep, pretty much. Fishley says, Rabbit from Alice Lost in Wonderland is basically what if Conan had a TARDIS. He is not wrong on that. I dropped the like. I'll go say hi to Fish now. TTYL, have a good one. Have a good one there, buddy. Loving the redesign as well as the new name of Power Core. Honestly, yeah, I agree as well. I guess I don't know his other site, so I'll stay here because I can't find him. Oh, it's Mr. Fish. Basically, it's the same thing. Go Mr. Fish or Mr. Fish. Again, the links to his channel should be in the link in the description below. I think you're probably on my channel if you're watching that then, but he shouldn't be. I love the new name. Honestly, same here. Power Core was definitely more of a fun name to work with, and I like the overall aesthetic for this character. Very technologically advanced and whatnot. Could you do a Doctor Who ripoff? Also, maybe. Again, Doctor Who's definitely actually to an extent I could, because I did make one as a kid, kind of, but it's not really Doctor Who. It's more like the fact that it's a character that tries to solve a problem without the use of violence and through clever trickery more than anything else. Because Doctor Who does not do violence in any way, shape, or form. Give me a second. I've been yapping. I need to drink water. The 5-star feed is on in 30 minutes, says Fishley. So if you want to go say hi to Mr. Fish or go check out his Kickstarter, please do so. Woo! Man, I needed this. Anywho's. Oh, you ran out of water and I need mine?
Yes.
Fiance just needs to be hydrated. Imagine if the world of Grub was fused like in Marvel Infinity Warp. Like imagine Power Core and Rocket Fist be called Rocket Core or Power Rocket. Or I don't know, but I like your thinking there. But I would have to develop the Ultra Value universe a bit more, since like that could be its own singular universe. So basically, like the Ultra Value Batman and Spider-Man, we'd actually get to clash heads with each other, aka the Grub and pending Batman title over here. And again, there's also the Powerpuff Girls Ultra Value thing that I'm also going to work on. There's a lot of videos that I want to work on for that. Obviously, I want to do a lot of the Marvel characters, a lot of the DC characters for sure, and even some few cartoon characters. And to really dive into the concept of like making knockoff renditions of like those characters again, so then that way I have more characters to kind of build up the world. Whew, sorry, man. I feel like it's a lot yapping over here. Power Core kind of looks like Max Steel. I guess you're right. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Thank you, hon. I actually used to have a Doctor Who inspired OC also who had the power of regeneration as well, somewhat. The plot concept would just be done completely different concept-wise. Okay, I could see that happening. Again, I mean, there are some characters that are easier to kind of, make knockoffs of. Again, like with Doctor Who, that's a really specific character because his show goes on so many different directions. And, I'm not against that idea. There's a lot of characters that I would want to make proper knockoffs of. Heck, I even have another idea for a whole other series to even tap into. Maybe you could use the legend of the Mothman for an ultra value Batman. Ooh. So instead of it being like, Batman, it is the Moth or the Lunar Moth. Okay. Vibes have been caught. They have been understood. I'm smelling what you're stepping in because I know how to English. Oh man, that could actually be cool. Or maybe taking cryptids and turning those into superheroes. There's a lot of series that I really want to work on so desperately. Look, do you mind turning on the lamp? Beauteous. We have light, action. Anywho's. Sorry, I act way too weird for my own good. This is what happens when Mr. Fish leaves me alone in the camera. And, the future wife is currently just kind of there, having to suffer through my insanity. Anywho's, let's actually talk about some fun series that I want to really tap into for some other cool concepts. But yeah, I also I am trying to make this a webtoon. I am trying to make the Grub a webtoon. So just keep that in mind. Outside of that, though, here are some fun concepts that I want to work on at some point in time, video-wise, or like if I'm going to be creating like a series of videos, I actually want to tap into a few ideas. Let me just kind of have this here, just so I can at least keep that there. For starters, I would love to do a series called Amazing Atlas, a series in which I actually take characters from the Atlas Seaboard Comics group and do like proper redesigns or giving them like the ultra value treatment. So then that way I could use those characters to an extent. For those that do or don't know, Atlas Seaboard was made to spite Marvel Comics. They were actually a comic book company that wanted to go against Marvel. And they created a bunch of like one-off characters. I think one character had at best 4 issues. And it was like the longest running series, which was called The Destructor, if I'm incorrect. But they also had characters like Tiger Man. They had the Dragon Fist or the Fist of the Dragon or something like that. They had Tarantula Man, which was actually more like of a horror story to an extent. So they had a lot of like other various and unique stories and whatnot. And I would love to do an entire series of redesigning them and putting them in a more like singular, unified universe and stuff like that. Now to address his comment, this isn't really a ripoff, but I had a concept for a Power Ranger series where each Ranger in the main group would be based on past teams motif, like one of them would be a pink pirate, one for X. Okay, I can see where you're going with that. Like, basically you're still trying to like, I guess it's like a fan made series because there's a lot of like Sentai series that tap into a lot of themes. We have Bender saying, well, I actually made cryptids into supervillains for my superhero Nightwave. Ooh, that is actually interesting. I would love to see how that works out. So Amazing Atlas is a series that I would love to work on. Looking forward to all your projects, Uncle Lee. Thank you so much, Dragon Gaming. That really does mean a lot. So anyways, Amazing Atlas is essentially a series where I would take characters from the Atlas Seaboard universe, which isn't really a lot. So that could actually be a proper, like, confined, unified series. And I can kind of go from there, designing a few characters, probably just doing just redesigning a few characters here and there, not really doing like crazy cool cover arts, just probably, nice art pieces here and there. Another series that I had was wanting to, this is a really stupid one. I wanted to take Italian brain rot characters and I wanted to do like a whole video where I take like 3 of them and I turn them both into heroes and villains and seeing which side that they would essentially like lean more into. Like if I took, Tung 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 Sahur or Tralala Tralala or Cappuccino Assassino or whatever. And I took those characters and I made them more villainous looking or more heroic looking and then making that a whole dumb series and whatnot. Again, there's a lot of those characters I think that'd be really hysterical to do. So like taking the Italian brain rot characters and just making them proper looking superheroes and stuff like that. What is another series concept I had in mind? I guess in a way too, another series that I would want to tap into would be talking about all of my like ultra valued, not even ultra valued, but creating my own, universe here, which I even have right here, which is the Ultra Rangers. Like if there was a project that I really want to dive into, it would definitely be this, because I would love to talk about all the different Ranger concepts that I have, stuff that I would really, really want to work on, because obviously I have the Super Saints with this. I have a lot of the titles here too. I loved making a lot of their titles because they were so much fun. So we have, for instance, the Ultra Ranger Super Saints, and then we have the Ultra Rangers Nebula Knights, the Ultra Ranger Snack Attack. How that works, I have still yet to figure that out. Hold on a second. You could do a ripoff Cheat Slayer, which was this canceled manga with one chapter, which is like The Boys, but with isekai protagonists as the baddies, like Sword Art. Oh, whoa. Okay. That's insane of a concept. That is brutal. I really want to see the Super Saints. Same here. But again, I feel like that has to be more of a proper live action show more than anything else. But still. So we have Ultra Ranger Snack Attack. Another one, Hyper Hive, which is all insect and bug themed. Dream Protectors, which is a really fun one, where they're all based on like the concepts of like sleeping or dreams, nightmares, all that kind of fun stuff. Tempest Force, based off of weather and all that other kind of stuff. Primal Fury was definitely one that I have yet to dive into, or at least designing the costumes for it. And this was actually a lot of fun to even tap into here and there. And then Star Frontier, basically Space Cowboys. And Jurassic Rage, the only dinosaur series that I actually made title-wise. And then one that I really want to do at some point, or again, I want to do all of them. But if I did, it would be this one over here, Hydro Force, where they're like a bunch of aquatic-themed rangers. Whew, man, sorry. Talking a lot and maintaining the show is a lot of work. I will say that. Let me see here. What about Ultra Ranger Snack Squad? Not a bad idea, but I like Snack Attack because I feel like there is more of it has that, that name that comes at you, So what are your thoughts on the upcoming Supergirl movie with the DCU? Honestly, I'm a little bit excited for it. I mean, I really enjoyed Superman. I can't wait to see what they do with Lobo and all those other fun concepts and whatnot. Can't wait to see where they take it, Again, James Gunn, I really trust that he makes the DC universe very entertaining. Would it be interesting to see an ultra value chainsaw? What would it be? Ultra value chainsaw man would just be Weed Whacker Man. I would have to figure out a really cool like gardening tool to take, or like a lumberjack tool, and then go from there. Your Snack Attack concept reminds me of Kamen Rider Gav, somewhat inspired, which would be like a ranger based on Chili Pepper, for example. Kamen Rider Gav was the inspiration for Snack Attack a little bit, but then I kind of forgot that each of the Rangers had to be based on something. So for me, the idea was like, what would their suits be based on? Like, for instance, like if I did a whole Power Ranger teams based on Dungeons and Dragons, at least there's like, okay, the Red Ranger could be a paladin, and the Blue Ranger could be like a barbarian, and the Green Ranger could be a wizard, a druid, whatever, right? What would the team of snack rangers be themed after? Would they be themed after a specific snack? Would they be themed after a specific flavor of snack? I mean, I have yet to properly figure that out. And I wouldn't even know what their full suits look like. I have an idea of it. I have it sketched out. Like, for some reason, I thought this would be funny because this would be like the logo of their little snack company that they work for or something like that. And then making that work in concept here. Where are you guys? Here they are. So then it's supposed to look something. Oh, what are we doing here? You guys there? Hold on. Something happened. You guys there? Can't see you guys. What's going on here? Guys, you there? Sorry about that. I don't know what happened here.
Is your laptop getting up?
I think so, but still, I don't know what happened. I cannot see any of the chat at the moment, guys. I'm sorry about that. Something may have happened. Not sure what's going on. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I think there's some technical difficulties on my end over here. All right. There we go. All right. Hold on. I got to read some of these things. Hold on a second. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I don't know what happened there, but we're all good now. We're all good now, unless we're not. I'm not sure. Anyways, what's the theme for the next sci-fi stream? That's honestly a really great question because Mr. Fish and I usually tend to go on the fly. So we'll figure out for next Wednesday. But today we really want to celebrate Mr. Fish's Kickstarter. Again, go support it. Go get yourself some Mr. Fish merch. Go support the Green Zone trade paperback because that's going to be awesome. Additional pages, extra stories. And of course, if we get it to 6K, you guys get all of the fun little goodies here and there. All right. Anyways, what else we got here? Dadpool says, I'd work on these with you if I were on your level. Listen, you can do way better than me at this point. I don't know what your level is, but your level and my level, you're probably on a higher level than I am, creatively speaking. I'm making knockoff stuff here, and you're practically making original universes and stuff. So don't make me as a measurement of a pedestal, right? Mr. Fish, I can say that he was like that kind of guy that I can look up to because, again, he made it as his career as an indie comic book artist, and I find that very aspirational. I really want to do that, and I look to him for it because he does that as a full-time career, right? He does have a level, and that's something that I want to achieve, but even at that rate, Mr. Fish is still having to go up on higher levels. He's still having to understand and figure out how things work. So you don't have to be on my level. You don't have to be on Fish's level. You can be on your own level and make it work for you. That's the intended goal when it comes down to creating fun stuff, all right? I'm just some weird Colombo Rican kid in Florida who likes to draw men in their underwear beating the crap out of other guys in their underwear. That's basically about it. What about Ultra Value Sky High? That would actually be a really, really fun concept. But again, that's like hitting a niche there. That's like if I made Ultra Value Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Not doing that for sure. For Snack Attack, how about 5 basic food groups? Okay, that's not a bad idea. And then Obsidian Crown hitting me with a good one. Flavor for sure. Like the idea of maybe doing spicy, cheesy, salty. And that's all I got at the moment, but I'm loving the vibes there. The food groups, I think I might even go with a little bit more just because that feels a bit more easier to apprehend to. Now, the question is, how the heck are those freaking helmets going to look? I don't even know. But what do we got over here? We got Benjamin saying, would there be an Ultra Rangers team based off of like Power Rangers, RPM, and Operation Overdrive? Basically any vehicle themes. And yeah, for sure. I mean, it also just depends on like what those vehicles are themed after. Like, for instance, there is Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, which is themed after first responders, from firefighters to cops to ambulances, that kind of whole thing, right? And then you have Operation Overdrive, which is all about like more, again, the way that Operation Overdrive is all about like, digging and exploration and stuff like that. So I think it's highly dependent on what the theme is. Like, for instance, I did have a fun concept that I would call the whatchamacallit. It's Ultra Rangers Mythic Racers, which is like mythical animals and racing or something along the lines of that. Basically like having race cars as mythical animals or something like that. That's one idea there. My character Nightwave used to be a villain, but that was because he was bullied for his father being being a crime lord. But after Caesar's latest girlfriend was killed by a villain, he called the Wendigo. Whoa. That is some brutality there, Benjamin. You're just dropping lore, and I just need to know more about this. You got to start posting about your characters, man. I mean, dude, I will say, Benjamin, you are a high-ranking role for hero individual. You have been creating so many characters based off these prompts, and I'm just mildly impressed by that. Fish and I are literally, like, before we even got on here, streaming and whatnot, we were saying how you're just going over the top, rolling way too many characters, which is not a bad thing. That's fantastic. But save some room for others. The Obsidian Crown, salty, sweet, sour, crunchy, gummy, liquid for smoothie. Okay, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Totally not at all. Just going to be writing that down in my sketchbook here for that whole concept and whatnot. Do I look crazy? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That is actually a really fun idea. Let me just do that, actually. We'll do... Sweet, sour, crunchy. Okay, it's more of a texture, not really much of a flavor, but I see the vibes here. And then liquid. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, the team of but then here's the thing though. If I had to do the Ultra Ranger, God, I can't English. This is what happens when I've been talking for too long. I can't speak English properly. I blame my wife. My future wife. I love you. I'm sorry. Anywho's, but I feel like if I had to turn the Ultra Squad or the Ultra Rangers Snack Attack into a proper series, I feel like the 6th Ranger would actually be like a full-blown... I feel like the 6th Ranger would be a smoothie or some liquid adjacent type of thing. Where are you at? There you are. Yeah, I can definitely see this being like a series where you have the Salty Ranger being like the head honcho. And then you have like the Sweet Ranger being, like the Pink Ranger or something like that. Because I definitely feel like that would be on par with the course there. The Sour Ranger, I can see that as like the Green Ranger or something like that. Crunchy, I can see that as salty. Because then that can also be correlated with a lot of like salty snacks. Then Gummy, that's a really good one. I'll figure out that one later. Also, I just realized that Power Rangers Beast Morphers, their Zords are vehicles, but can transform into animals. That is interesting too. And I feel like with like the idea that I had beforehand, which was like the Ultra Rangers Mythic Racers and something like that, I feel like that could also still be like on par for the course of like they can do animals, but then they also turn to cars or something like that. Thomas says like villains people normally don't see at first in public concept. Okay, and then we got Jordan stating, how about dragon themed Ultra Rangers? Now, there is actually someone out there who made, and I think I stated this in my like Power Rangers video I made a while back, that there was someone who did an entire dragon themed like Power Rangers adjacent comic book, and I think they call it Street Knights. That one looks very, very interesting, and each of the characters are based off of a specific dragon. So I would actually check that out if you can. But what would be the villains of Snack Attack? I would say like, I guess if we had to turn them into monsters, like the concept of like, I guess like the embodiment of, no offense to my Europeans and the British individuals, but those with that lack no taste. Like it could be an entire armada of like British adjacent. Yes, I'm evil, honey. I never stated I was perfect. The fiance giving me a condescending look like, how dare you make fun of the British people? It's not my fault they eat World War II adjacent food. I love the British people. I love people of all kinds. Just the British people's food is questionable at best. And I even hopped on that trend on my TikTok, so I'm not really scared to talk about something like that. Plus, I'm a foodie. So, getting married to a baker. But yeah, but I think it would definitely be like one where they'll just, I feel like the villains would give like just enough of the nutrition, like, or maybe there are people who are forcing, a specific amount of like food to be limited and whatnot. And there's like a whole like resource type situation, and food is just seen as fuel, not really as something to be seen as like a form of connection and a form of luxury. Now, again, if you overindulge in food, yes, that becomes something else. Again, that's still a whole concept to be thought of in general. What do we got over here? What about what about mutated food monsters? I can definitely see that for sure. Like maybe they mutate like broccoli or vegetables, and they're trying to force themselves to be eaten by the civilians, and yet these rangers are trying to make the foods fun. I don't know. Like I said, the snack attack one's definitely a really tricky concept, because when you work with food, keep in mind, food in general all works together. Like I remember a while back, I made this concept for a series. I made it with a friend of mine, and we called it Tropical Fruits at first. And they were all about these, teenagers that were themed after fruits. So there was a kid themed after like an apple, one based off of a coconut, one based on dragon fruit. And it turns out he was actually a dragon associated character, so on and so forth. There was just a lot of like affiliations with those characters and whatnot. But then we tried making the villains vegetables, but then also they're healthy. So why would they want to clash or hate each other? Now I can see it being like a who's better than the other. I can see them as antagonists, not really villains. But again, with food, it's like you got to be careful. Junk food can always be an easy villain to market, right? You can always make junk food like the villains. But what if you were trying to make like snack foods, like a thing of potato chips, or maybe like a little piece of candy? Like how could you turn those into heroes? You would have to turn the idea of nutrition into a potential villain even. Again, it's all a work in progress concept to really work with there. But I mean, who knows? I got a lot of these Ranger suit designs, a lot of these other cool concepts. Heck, I even have like some of these ideas as well. What if different ingredients give the Rangers different powers? I mean, that's highly dependent, But then again, I feel like if I did do that, I would probably just do an entire, like looking at it now, Snack Attack was a fun idea, but I really don't know if I could really go with that concept, because I feel like it would be more better off as a Common Rider Gav situation. I feel like if you had a character that turned into multiple types of different foods, that would make more sense than having a whole team based on that. But if you can make it work, you can make it work. Anyways, you have, for your Ultra Ranger series, can you make a concept based on Gokaiger for a possible anniversary concept-wise? You see, I wanted to do pirates for sure, but I do not want to make any anniversary specials at all. Like if I'm making Ultra Rangers, I want every series to be their own individually. Will I ever want them to cross over? Potentially. But I want to keep them very like, I don't want to do no anniversary specials, because think of it this way. As a Super Sentai fan, which again, I'm not deep into Sentai stuff like that, but if I was, I would be caught up and I would have a better understanding of how all that works. But as a Power Rangers fan, looking at the Super Sentai stuff, there is way more content. There's way more storytelling that happens in Super Sentai. And then those anniversary specials, though are interesting, I feel like I'm going to get lost in the idea of them turning into other Rangers, when in reality, I want to watch the Rangers themselves. Like with Gokaiger, which is all pirate themed. I think it's Gokaiger? Yeah, Gokaiger, which is all pirate themed. I want to watch pirate themed, Power Rangers beat the crap out of, like a civilianized empire or something like that. You know what I mean? And then same situation with the one over here in America is Megaforce, right? I like the idea that they were like celestial based. And again, the Super Sentai rendition of that was the fact that they were based on angels, or no, I think that was something else. No, that was a whole different other concept. That was a whole different concept. Forgive me on that. I'm not really smart with Sentai stuff as of recent. Again, there's way too many of those shows to even kind of think of. But again, there's so many. I would never do anniversary specials. I think it would be awesome if they cross over, but I won't do anniversary specials. I like the idea of the Rangers that aren't human but are like aliens or robots. I also agree with that. If I ever did an entire series, something like SPD, where like the Shadow Ranger was basically a dog alien dude, 100% would go for that. Heck, there's even that one space-themed Super Sentai team that was more like of a space opera, and it consisted of robots, of aliens, and like different kinds of humanistic-looking aliens and whatnot. I actually like that idea a lot. I meant they can transform the different Ultra Rangers concept, but not the pirate idea. No, like I said, I don't want them turning into other Rangers because then at that point you're kind of losing it, unless that is like a specific, like again, it's kind of like doing your homework, watching the MCU, so you can get caught up to understanding like why Spider-Man's there in a way. You don't really want to do that. And for me, I want every series to kind of be their own thing individually, unless there's like a Forever Red special, and I would do that. Imagine if Ultra Rangers had a team that looked different, like a Pirate Ranger, a Cowboy Ranger, and a Night Ranger, etc. I'm not against that. I did have some ideas. Again, Star Frontier is like space cowboys. I do have an idea for pirates, but I would probably just simply call it like Ultra Rangers Pirates. Again, kind of like how there's Power Ranger Samurais. I would do Ultra Ranger Pirates because I think it's a lot more easier to work with. What else was there? Yeah, because I got basically Christian Power Rangers, I got race car drivers, I got space knights, I got the elements, food, and other pending ideas. I have dreams, I have some other stuff. Like for instance, this is what I was thinking of for the design for like Hydro Force and how they're all basically like aquatic themed. And I wanted blue to be more of the element of that design philosophy. Usually it's yellow or gray being good colors to use in between and whatnot. And then I did have some other ones like this idea over here. I like the way this looks, how it would be like a primary white suit, but then like the stripes on the side would actually be a different color. This one, I really don't know what to do with concept-wise. I don't know like what I would use this for. This one's pretty cool, but again, I don't really know what to do with this suit for a specific theme. Well, you could use Roll for Hero for Alien Ranger. For an alien, okay, that is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. So like we could use Roll for Hero for an Alien Ranger, coming up with different alien concepts, or rolling up alien ideas and then having them morph into like a specific Ranger concept. I like that. I like your thinking there, Benjamin. I like what you're doing there. And then also I was trying to work on a concept for like Star Frontier. And again, this is very much reminiscent of that one other Sentai series where they're basically all like it's a whole thing and then some. But honestly, shouldn't really use this one because I feel like I'm knocking off the original idea that this is based on. Question: who would be the main antagonist for your dream Ultra Ranger concept? Would it be merely nightmares or dream demons from folklore concept? Personally, it would literally just be like the boogeyman, or like the idea of him, and like kind of like in Rise of the Guardians, how he kind of took over like Sandman's overall like golden sand and he made it his own, kind of like that. And I feel like the Sandman would actually be like a good character to send the Rangers off fighting off these like daydreams, if you will, or day nightmares or something like that. So then that way the Rangers would have to go out and beat the bad guys and stuff like that. Hence, there would be a reason why they're in the real world. Imagine doing a self-insert character for one of the Ultra Ranger series. I'm not against that, but then again, who's self-insert? Like, am I self-inserting myself? Is it one of you guys? Who's to say? Who is to say? But yeah, I mean, I would really want to dive into all of these fun ideas and all these other cool concepts and stuff. So, a lot of really fun ideas here. A lot of cool ideas and stuff. What about Morley Gray Ranger team? Ooh, you gotta love your Morley Grays. I like the idea of kind of like in Power Rangers Mystic Force, like the Red Ranger's father was actually the bad guy this whole time, but we didn't know until like way later on. I do like characters like those, or maybe people, or if anything, making full-blown like Rangers, but they flop sides, kind of like in Transformers Beast Wars in particular. I remembered watching it on Netflix that there was Dinobot, and Dinobot went from being like a Predacon to then becoming a Maximal by just simply switching a coat. He still transforms into a Raptor, but he changed sides by just simply switching the command code to transform. Insert myself in a Ranger team? Absolutely. I would love to. So bad. Oh, you have no idea. Trust me, if I had the ability to do so, I would love to work with a mega church because they have the finances to do something like that. And I would love to actually work on the Super Saints and all the other Ultra Ranger concepts. Like if I can start with the Super Saints and if I can get the finance from that, and then if I can somehow manage to make other series, I would love to do it. What if for the Dream Rangers, the team fights the bad guys in the dream realm? You see, I like that idea, but I also like the idea that the nightmares are trying to come at you in reality. You know, maybe at first it's about like maybe, you know, someone who kind of is like, in a way, think of it this way. Imagine someone's daydreaming or they're sleeping and they're just kind of like daydreaming or something like that. And then boom, all of a sudden it turns into a nightmare. And then now that monster is just out and about going crazy. Maybe they're even taking said, you know, daydreamer hostage, and it's up to the Dream Rangers to go in and fight off said monster in reality. Because again, if you're trying to put this in like, again, I'm also thinking about if it was like a TV show. Because if it was a TV show, I would actually love to see the ability to like have them pop in and out of the dream realm and then have that work out in a weird way, which could then tap into the idea of the morphing grid. Or in my case, I call it the spectrum, which is based off the light spectrum and all the colors and stuff. Anyways, Benjamin says there is actually a whole Ranger team who joins the villain, like the A Squad and Power. Oh, okay. You see, I like that. Probably create an entirely different, like for instance, maybe with a racer team, maybe there's an entire like other team of other mythical creatures, but then those guys end up becoming their own Rangers, and they're like evil and all, you know, crazy and whatnot. And then it ends up taking the team of the good guy Rangers to go over and, you know, kind of like switch them over to the light side or something like that. I can see that happening. Whew, man, sorry guys, I'm just yapping a lot. Man, I am talking and I am talking. But yeah, I can totally see that happening more than anything else. But yeah. But let me see some other series concepts that I wanted to work on. I wanted to definitely do like turning Brainrock characters into superheroes, taking the Atlas Seaboard characters and turning those into more proper renditions, or doing like the ultra value idea of those characters. Probably doing more ultra value things as well, like ultra value Powerpuff Girls, Danny Phantom, Ben 10. Generator Rex would be a really fun one to tap into. What else is there? And then I definitely want to talk more about my Ultra Rangers, because I really want to talk more about that. And then hopefully that can gain traction to where I can make it into something, not just a comic book, but actually as like a web series of some kind. Then what else is there? I mean, I have a lot of other ideas, but yeah. But for now, you know, if we're talking about if we're talking in terms of comic books, I want to keep up with the Grub and then kind of go from there. Make it this one like a Spider-Man-like story. I did have the idea for Power Core being essentially like a common writer, and he kind of fights off like a series of monsters and stuff like that, which would actually be in its own separate universe. And then like with Rocket Fist, I feel like he would be the villain that would encounter the Grub, and then he spins off into his own thing. So those are some ideas I want to do for at least these characters and whatnot. Anyways, y'all are stating here, what do the Dream Rangers keep the monsters from entering the real world? Okay, now that could be interesting. And they could actually have more better use for a green screen, or for like, you know, them being in the dream realm fighting off these monsters. And I feel like it would be the rare occasion where they do pop out in the real world, and that's what makes those like more intensive, because those monsters have more like physical beings and ready to attack when they can. They're 50 times more dangerous or something like that. All right, but what if it was but it was funny. It looks till Cosmic Fury for Heckle to become a Power Ranger. I unfortunately have not seen Cosmic Fury. I feel like it's not like the last series that was produced through Nickelodeon, because if so, I haven't seen any of that. I believe I stopped at just Samurai, and that was it. And I only watched up to Samurai, and then every other Ranger team after that, I know nothing of. But yeah, so I mean, those are some pretty fun concepts. I'm also trying to figure out what to do with Power Core in terms of like the different kind of villains that he would fight. Because again, like that Candyman villain, I don't even know if it would be worth being a villain for Power Core over here. But I could definitely see being a villain for the Grub, or again, a Batman adjacent one. But given how I'm only trying to stick with just doing 3 characters, I think I'll give it to the Grub and stuff. I also have a lot of other characters for this whole like Grubby universe and stuff like that. I call it like the world of the ragtags. This would be a fun team book for me to really work on. And because of the fact that I'm taking like comic books to a level, for me, I'm trying to reinstate the fun in making comic books. Hence the reason why I'm doing this entire like redo essentially. Like I'm making the Grub because of the fact that I want to make comic books fun for me to draw. I'm trying to make, you know, comics feel like a fun thing to do. You know, I don't want to make it feel like a 9-to-5 thing, and I'm just so like stressed out trying to make the pages look pretty. You know, like again, I'm telling myself I need to beat the perfectionist out of me And that's why I'm doing all of these characters. Like, again, I have Power Core over here. He is a character that I had for a long time, and I guess that perfectionist mindset really got the better of me when trying to create a story for him. And I'm really trying to get that story right, you know? And I have an idea for what I can do with him in particular. The Grub has actually been a blast and a half, and because I'm not taking that book so serious and I'm not giving it that pressure of like this book has to be perfect, I've actually had fun making this comic book, and I can't wait for you guys to actually read it on Webtoons or whenever I have it out there. Again, you're going to have to be patient with me on that. I'm really trying my best to finish the comics, so then that way I can kind of give it to you in like a full thing. Again, it would probably have to be like a once a month holder deal. But yeah, and hopefully if you guys enjoy the Webtoons, and I'll be able to have those as properly printed out comic books and stuff. What if you guys and Mr. Fish did a Pacific Rim inspired season of Roll for Hero? That would just be us drawing kaijus and giant robots all season long, which I am not against. But kind of like with the Sci-Fi Saga for now, like it was good that we had a bit of a break drawing something else a little bit different rather than always trying to draw something from sci-fi. You know, today was actually a really fun way to just really just take a break from doing science fiction stuff. And yeah, sorry about that. I got another. Hey, how you doing, Tony Clapper?
We gotta go because we can't launch our show.
Oh shoot! Okay, I'm so sorry, man. All
I
right,
thought
I'm out of you guys.
we're supposed to be able to, but we can't. So we gotta go.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry about that. Stay awesome, stay weird, keep up to the easiest, stay ultra up. Sorry, guys. Keep it easy now. Ciao.